Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are here for the third and final T20 between the West Indies and Australia. Now, the West Indies, for the third time of this series, have won the toss. This time, though, they have elected to have a bat, and they have made a couple changes in their starting 11. The Australians, they are the same, including a debut for Xavier Bartlett. For the West Indies starting lineup, though, it will be Kyle Mayers at the top of the order alongside Johnson Charles. So they have lost Brandon King out of that opening duo. Nicholas Pooran keeps a spot at number 4. Powell at 3. Rovman Powell at 4. Rutherford moves up the order. He is going to be at 5. Andre Russell, Roston Chase makes his way into the side. Jason Holder, Romario Shepherd, Keel Hussain and Alzari Joseph. So a pretty similar side for the West Indies, with the exception, of course, of Roston Chase coming in, as well as Kyle Mayers. For the Australians, it is going to be David Warner, and they have got Josh Inglis actually listed as batting 4, which means Mitchell Marsh would be opening the batting if that is the way that they decide to go about it. Aaron Hardy at 3, and of course it is Josh Inglis, like I mentioned. Glenn Maxwell, the man who got himself the 100 in the last T20 between the sides. Tim David, Matthew Wade, Adam Zampa, Spencer Johnson keeps his spot after a very impressive match just in the second T20. Jason Bendorf, interesting choice. I would have thought that he would be the first bowler to go, but I guess they have decided that they want to rest Hazelwood a little bit. Bendorf, I'll be honest, he's been the most expensive and the most erratic Australian bowler in both of the T20s, but they're trying to find his form. I think he's going to get hit to the boundary a few times in this game though as well. And then Xavier Bartlett, after making a barnstorming debut in ODI cricket, now gets his opportunity in the shorter format, actually his preferred format of T20. So hopefully does all right as well. But like I mentioned, the West Indies, they won the toss, so it does mean that they will be having a bat for this one, which is a difference compared to what we saw in the first two T20s. We have All and Hamish. Says Robert, and oi there matey, do you ever sleep? Not a lot, no, unfortunately. And from New York City, Australia, all the way, says Sandy Fid. And hey, I'm in New Jersey, says Robert Vale. And there as well, but they are just showing Glenn Maxwell. Of course, 120 off 55 balls in the last matchup between these two sides. Now, something that is so important for the West Indies, I believe, is looking at that total of around 200 and trying to build upon that. Because anything under 200, I just feel like might be a little bit too low, and the Australians will still consider themselves as heavy favourites in this one. The good news is for the West Indies, they can set at their own pace. They don't have to constantly be chasing the game, and they just need to concentrate on getting some good runs on the board early in the power play with Johnson Charles and also Mayers. So Mayers coming back in without any prior experience in this series, unfortunately. Could be a blessing, could be a curse. We will soon find out which one it is. In South Carolina, West Indies all the way, says Stewart Family. ODI wins for Glenn Maxwell. Anytime they win, he has a massive average. Most of the time when the Australians lose, it is actually when Glenn Maxwell has not been able to perform. Only averaging 14 in T20s when they have lost their matches, whereas when they win, he averages 45. With a strike rate of 165. But he recently brought up his 5th ODI or T20 100, which now means that he is tied with Rohit Sharma. In fact, it might be 4 in total for Glenn Maxwell. Looking to get the clean sweep again here, Australia, after doing so in the ODI. The Test series, of course, was 1-1. It was a nice draw, including that historic win for the West Indies in the second match. They just need a little bit of that fight here. Even though they can't win the series, you might as well go out there and put absolutely everything into it. It's at Optus Stadium, so it is going to be a nice hot afternoon game. Currently sitting around that 4 or so p.m. local time. It is extremely warm, but Kyle Mayers, top of the order alongside Johnson Charles. They have actually taken out Shy Hope, which is an interesting choice for the West Indies. But they have left Alzari Joseph in. Jason Holder's still batting, I believe, too low in the order. They've got him listed as an 8 here, but I actually think that he should be above Romario Shepherd. We saw Shepherd only go 12 from 12 in the last T20, whereas Jason Holder hits boundaries can get you off to that little bit of a better start, or at least in that middle section. I hope we don't see him within the first 10 overs. If we do, then this one could be over sooner rather than later. But we saw some brilliant hitting from Johnson-Charles. We know how strong he can be with the bat in hand, and when he just swings through the line, I think that Bendorf's going to be under a huge amount of pressure when going ahead here with Johnson-Charles. Just because if he goes a little bit too full, like we've seen him do throughout this series, he will get whacked away to the boundary for those sixes. Xavier Bartlett, though, with the new ball in hand, normally gets a lot of swing. I feel like that is something that might bring that battle back into the Australians' favour. But Johnson-Charles, there's no denying how much power that man's got. Mayers as well at the other end. This one about 8 minutes away from the first ball being bowled at Optus Stadium. Now, this was actually the location of an earlier match in the Australian summer. Just having a quick look at the surface. It looks dry. They're also talking to Marcus Stoinis, a man who has missed out on selection for this match. He had a brilliant bowling innings up against the West Indies in the second match, although he did take a knock to his hand. And I don't think that's the reason they've left him out. I think it's more so that they want to try and test out a new batting lineup, which does involve Inglis batting 4, Aaron Hardy at 3, and then Mitchell Marsh right up the top of the order, actually opening. Okay, they've just actually said that Marcus Stoinis sounds like he's got some sort of injury, and he actually had it during that last game, but still managed to take those 3 wickets. Always a competitor. Didn't quite do it with the bat in hand for the West Indies. Captain Chase-Powell, he was actually quite impressive in that last match, managing to up that strike rate in a very important stage. But unfortunately for the Windies, they were chasing around that 11 or so mark per over right from the get-go. And then it just kept on going up to around that 16 or so where it remained for a majority of the match. Hamish Brose, however, get 220 for 6 after day one stumps against New Zealand. Says Michelle, they certainly are. Nice partnership actually building at the moment for South Africa. And it was much needed because, you know, it could have been pretty disappointing if after that first start, I think they were 64 for 3 after the first session, the South Africans. So if they had continued at that rate and been bowled out by the end of the day, I feel like New Zealand would have almost already felt like they had it secure. But it is interesting because New Zealand have never won a test series up against South Africa. They're 1-0 up now. They've drawn plenty of series up against South Africa, but this is their best opportunity. But the most important thing for them tomorrow is to get those 4 wickets as quickly as possible and start building their own innings. Now, South Africa haven't been scoring at the quickest run rate. New Zealand, when they've been batting throughout this series, also haven't been able to. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how day 2 goes. I think we will see New Zealand batting at some stage throughout maybe that second session, I would say. Right, Stoinis has just said it's a very nice wicket. He's expecting a lot of big sixes, and also he thinks that it's going to be a high-scoring game. So pretty much what that tells you is the West Indies need 200. In simplest words possible, Mayer's going to be opening the batting alongside Johnson-Charles, though. It's interesting that they did decide to get rid of King, seeing as he was the only man who went on to get himself a 50 in the first T20 between these two sides, but perhaps they've decided that they need Mayers to go out there and score at just a little bit of a quicker run rate, and then that might actually help the West Indies work towards that 200 total, which, fun fact, they have been able to reach in both games already. And it's not very often you say that a team that has scored 200 has lost both games of a series. And team lineups announced, says Al Mick, they certainly are. So the West Indies, for this one, they are batting first, and it will be Kyle Mayers at the top of the order with Johnson-Charles, so the left-hander, right-hander combo. Then Nicholas Pooran, he'll be batting at number 3. Chase-Powell at 4. Shifan Rutherford at 5, so no Shea Hope in the West Indies side. Andre Russell, Roston Chase, Jason Holder, Romario Shepherd, Akil Hussein, and also Alzari Joseph for the Windies. In the Australian lineup, they have gone with David Warner and Mitchell Marsh at the top of the order. Aaron Hardy at 3 with Josh Inglis actually transitioning to number 4. Now, that might be something to do with the fact that Matthew Wade may lose his wicket-keeping spot in the near future to Josh Inglis. So perhaps they are just trying it out to see how he goes when he's a little bit further down the order, possibly outside of that power play. Glenn Maxwell, man who got himself the 120 in the last contest, up against the West Indies. Tim David, Matthew Wade, Adam Zampa, Spencer Johnson, Jason Berendorf, so he still keeps his spot in the side, even though he has gone for almost 100 runs of his 8 overs that he's bowled throughout this series. And then Xavier Bartlett on T20 debut at international level, does brilliantly throughout the BBL though, in Aussie conditions as well. I'm sure he will be having a lot of fun in this match. And Hamish Bro, Optus Stadium, cricket ground big, so really test a batter to long and hard shot, playing this particular venue, says Michelle. And I think from the sixes we have seen throughout this series, we certainly know that there are a lot of players who have the potential of hitting the ball to the boundary. I think we've registered about 10 sixes over the 100-metre mark between the West Indies and Australia combined. So, yeah, some big shots will be on offer for this ground, and it's probably not quite as generous when it comes to the square wickets. We actually saw in the last contest for the second T20 that square of the wicket was only 60 metres and 63 metres. Whereas here I believe it is closer to that 70 mark, and those extra few metres could make all the difference here for the batsman. We have got there, the Big Bash was really good this season, says Fluffy. And I think the good news about the KFC Big Bash is the fact that we saw a different team win it. And I think that that is going to be massively important for the way that it goes forward. 75, 80 metre long boundary and square here, says Michelle. Yeah, I think that the BBL having a new champion, I mean, Xavier Bartlett, one of the main reasons for that Brisbane Heat side doing as well as they did. He's just a tremendous bowler in ODI. When he stepped up on debut, it was incredibly impressive, and we knew from then that he was going to be very hand and short ball format for the Australians. But now just about to make their way out onto the pitch. Do you think Warner has passed his best? I was surprised that he replaced Jameson, says Al Mac. Replaced Jameson. Oh, sorry, Wagner. My bad. I see Warner, didn't I? I mean, he's still a decent player, Wagner. I think they're trying to give him his last kind of summer because it doesn't sound like he's going much further than this year. Which, of course, you're in the scenario of, like, as much as you want to give the veteran his last send-off, you still want to, of course, keep those younger players going as well. But, yeah, I don't think Wagner's got too much longer. He'll want to play for another 5 years if he can, but he's got to make sure that he does stay at that top international level of player. My coaching helped the Heat a lot, says Fluffy. And there as well. But the Australians just about to make their way out onto the field. The first time of this series, they are going to be fielding first. So they're all smiles at the moment. Of course, a bit of controversy at the end of the last match. Tim David, one of those players who were really up in the umpire's face. It's good to see that there weren't any repercussions in that regard because yeah, it did get a little bit ugly at the end of the last match. Australia was still winning no matter what at that stage of the match, but there was that run out that none of the Australians appealed for, apart from, according to Tim David, who was way out on the boundary alongside the crowd, but none of the other teammates went up for it. So in that case, umpires did give it as not out. But Mitch Marsh just setting his field at the moment. The opening combination of Mayers and Charles for the first time of this T20 series, and also for the last time of this series, seeing as we are in the third and final match. There's a little bit of shadow covering some of the ground, but it's going to be pretty hot in Perth. I believe around that 32-degree mark, I think they are sitting at the moment. Giving them all fly spots to bash the flying cockroaches, says Fluffy. But Johnson Charles, his best is 118, and that did not take him very long to reach that total. The other end, Kyle Mayers, averages 19.81 in T20. His best is 73. He has got that strike rate of almost 140, and I think that is why he is at the top of the order. The opening over will be bowled by Xavier Bartlett, man who has taken wickets for fun throughout his 20-over career. 41 matches, 48 wickets. His best is 4 for 30, and he now gets his debut for the Australians at international level. We are ready to go for this third T20. Is this the West Indies' best lineup? It's a mixture, I would say, because sometimes I always consider players who have got minutes under their belt more effective than guys who are just coming back in. That is a peach of a ball from Xavier Bartlett. Very little effort shown from Johnson Charles. It's as if he never actually picked that ball up. Sensational ball. Johnson Charles just didn't look like he was interested in that delivery. Just moved away. And Matthew Wade, good carry through from Xavier Bartlett. Great start for his very first delivery. I want to see more of Johnson Charles moving around a little bit here. Get his foot going, because if he doesn't, it's going to be a short day at the office. Now he's moved away. Hit it to the leg side. Much better from Johnson Charles, and he has got that one to the boundary. And I guess West Indies need to go hard early and stop the pat-pat around aggressive in this game. New York says John there, but Johnson Charles gave himself a lot of space. Xavier Bartlett actually tried to follow him, but he did follow him a bit too much and ended up drifting it down the leg side, where Charles was able to flick it off his pads, or a little bit higher than that, off the abdomen region. Got it away to the boundary. How does Bartlett answer back? Once again, Johnson Charles gives himself space, swings through. We could hear the force of the bat through the stump, Mike. Sound like a ceiling fan from Johnson Charles. But yeah, he's just backing away, exposing his stumps. But I haven't seen a lot of this man's ability on the offside. So I feel like if he gives Bartlett too much space, he's probably going to get a Yorker that could take out his middle stump. So this is going to be a very intriguing battle between these two. Bartlett, 2 dot balls, 1 boundary. Oh, it's off the outside edge of Johnson Charles, but it's gone down the ground to Mitchell Marsh, who is supposedly opening the batting today for the Australians. They've decided to shift Inglis to 4. They've got Aaron Hardy at 3 once again. Johnson Charles just trying to spoon that one towards the leg side, but does end up getting it a bit square. Goes back down at the ground there. Our last ball, or in fact 2 balls remaining this first over for Xavier Bartlett. Oh, that's hit him in the grill, I think. I think that has got him right in the helmet for Johnson Charles. It was a little bit ugly. The umpire says we're going to have a stoppage here. He had his head well and truly in the air there, Johnson Charles. Oh, it's hit him right on the grill, luckily. Thought in the initial shot it looked like it was sneaking up under the grill. Yeah, he's ended up actually hitting that one into his own grill for Johnson Charles, or at least got the glove onto it. Made hard connection there. Good morning, West Indies will win this one, says Kevin Simpson. Just in real time, really knocked his helmet around. And Charles not in charge, says Fluffy. Well, he knows what he wants to do here. And what he wants to do is hit Xavier Bartlett away for 6, or hit him away for 4 on that leg side. But Bartlett is bowling well enough that he's able to make those little adjustments to make it difficult for Johnson Charles to be able to do just that. And Australia seems to have found a good young prospect, Xavier Bartlett. I mean, ever since he got added in as an X-Factor player for the Brisbane Heat, I think that was about 3 seasons ago, he'd only get to bowl 1 or 2 overs, and that was to see if the ball would swing. And if it wasn't swinging, they'd take him out of their team. Oh, and that's going to be the edge from Johnson Charles. Xavier Bartlett has picked up the wicket, and Charles is going to be on his way. He doesn't think he's hit it. Hang on. The plot thickens. He thinks that he hasn't hit it. Kyle Mayer says, I think you did, mate. Is he going to walk off, or are they going to go upstairs? I think it's going to be out for Johnson Charles. Yep, just a big edge. And unfortunately for him, stepping away to the leg side, it meant that he was giving himself room. But Xavier Bartlett's swing just kept on bringing that ball back towards the off stump. And Johnson Charles gone early in the innings for the West Indies. Not the start that they were after here. They needed to get off to a flyer. And Johnson Charles hasn't delivered at the top of the order. He's actually sitting on 4 off 6, which is exactly what we saw for Josh Inglis at the top of the order for the Australians in the last match. And one-sided player, says Kevin. And unfortunately, the sad thing is there are little adjustments for Johnson Charles that would make a lot of difference. But I think that because he's been so effective scoring on the leg side, like if Bartlett was an in-swinger, different story. But because Bartlett gets that ball to tail away, it just takes it slowly out of your hitting arc, and then you slowly end up just finding edges or kind of slicing it away in a way that you don't want to. But great first over. Now Jason Bendorf. This is the man who I'm most curious about in the Australian lineup, because they did put him in for all three of the T20s, and he has been extremely expensive throughout this series. He's good at taking wickets, but yeah, he just hasn't been that effective. Nicely worked to the leg side. Mayers will get the single to get himself off the mark in his first T20 of the series, but going for 55 runs in the last match for Jason Bendorf. Of course, that one for Johnson Charles getting hit in the grill. The ball beforehand maybe rattled him a little bit. Now Mayers, they've still got him on strike at the moment, but I believe there was a run. So it will now be Nicholas Purin, who is the player on strike. A little bit of away swing for Jason Bendorf. Alim alone. Who is a cheeky monkey out of Reed or Jonathan. Once again, mate, you will know them much better than me. I've only heard the names. 17 matches, 17 wickets for Jason Bendorf. His average is 25. Economy of just over 8 and over. I think for Australia, they've really left him in here to try and help him find his form. Nicely worked to the leg side, Nicholas Purin. Looked like for a second they were considering the 2 runs, but nicely running on to that one was Aaron Hardy. Almost had a bit of controversy in the second T20 with where he took a catch. And it was actually Nicholas Purin who was complaining about that one. He was saying that Hardy was not inside of the circle. In the end, they looked upstairs and he was, in fact, those couple steps in. Bendorf, 4th ball, good Yorker. Well chopped out by Mayers. Except for the West Indies that they really needed to get off to a good start here. Probably around 60 in the power play would be ideal. Don't know how likely that is now with that early wicket falling. These two still have the power. Nicely done. I think you're the most cheeky monkey I know, Hamish, but Reed stole your chocolates. Interesting. Ooh. One slightly tucked up Mayers, but he was still able to play the pull shot to it. Got it away for the single. Good over so far from Bendorf. The benefit, of course, being that wicket falling in the last over from Bartlett means that they won't quite be as aggressive in the way that they play. They're just showing, I think that's Kyle Mayer's shoes. They're actually Nike. I don't know that Nike did cricket gear, but I think what's happened is he's got those running shoes. That's going to be Purin gone. Bendorf gets him. And the West Indies are 2 down after 2 overs for just the 7 runs. Australia trying to make quick work of this series and get it over and done with. Sarah gave New Zealand a hard time today, not going to lie. Nice shape on the ball. Purin pushing at it. And then it goes straight to Glenn Maxwell in the slip cord. And the Windies down 2, including their wicketkeeper Purin. It's not what they wanted. Great over from Bendorf. Keeping it tight. 3 singles and the wicket to close it out. And like I said, this is the kind of confidence booster that they probably left Bendorf in to get. Nicely taken by Glenn Maxwell. Watched right into his hands. Little bit of away movement. Reaching for that ball. Nicholas Purin, rather than committing to the shot, just throwing the hands at it. And those are 2 dismissals for the West Indies that they easily could have avoided had they just picked their ball to go after. But 2 down off topic. What about how South Africa are not playing a strong side for the test matches against New Zealand? Says this in GTR. It is a massive shame, of course, but if these young guys can somehow get a draw out of the series, I think that would be a massive bonus for them. Roston Chase now making his way out to the middle, so a little bit of a change in the order. Here comes Xavier Bartlett to the left hand, and Mayer's almost chopping it on, missed by Wade. Be disappointed with that. He actually covered the ground. But it's going to be 4 runs against Xavier Bartlett, and that is going to be the second boundary of this match, and the first of which for Kyle Mayers. Inside edge, yeah, straight through the hand of Matthew Wade. And in discipline batting, says Kevin and Hamish, if you had your clone sitting with you, would it be good or bad? I mean, if I had a clone, we would be able to cover a lot more games than we do. Oh, that's up in the air. Doesn't carry the third man, Adam Zampa. Will just be the single for Mayers, but living dangerously at the moment, the West Indies. Where's Shamar Joseph? He is back in Guyana. But that is because they actually selected their squads for all formats before the Test series. So at that point, they didn't know if Shamar Joseph was going to get 1 wicket or whether he was going to go for 500 runs off his bowling. So yes, they knew he was talented, but they didn't know that he was quite going to perform the way that he did. Now, that's not to say that they couldn't have added him in. I think there's tricky parts of that. Normally, once you announce a squad, the only way you can bring a new player in is due to injury. But Roston Chase now. Bartlett ODI versus the West Indies. He was 4 for 17. That's a rough shot from Roston Chase. Not timing it, but it does fall safe. So yeah, he's had 2 innings in ODI cricket with the ball in hand, Xavier Bartlett, and both times he has managed to pick up the 4 wickets. Aussie, oi, oi. Says expired passport, bro. And there as well. But I should mention anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Business as usual says expired. I think they're just talking about Jason Holder on the commentary. And I'll be honest, I was very confused when I saw that they weren't promoting him up the order. Flicked off the pads. Beautifully played by Kyle Mayers. And that'll be another boundary, 2 of which in this Xavier Bartlett over so far. Good evening, everyone. Come on, the West Indies, says Andrew Watts. And like I said, for the Windies, they need a power play of 60 and they need a total score of around that 200 mark to even be remotely close, I believe, on the surface with this Australian side. 10 runs off the first 4 of Xavier Bartlett's over. Certainly not as economical as his first over was chopped on, and he'll get the wicket of Mayers, his third, the West Indies, their third one to fall. Bartlett second. That one was unlucky. At the end of the day, the other 2, they did play bad shots. That one, he's just chopped it onto the stumps, and it's one of the worst feelings as a batsman, just trying to defend it and just chops it. He tried to play it down to third man. The only third that he hit was his third stump. And that's now going to be the end of Kyle Mayers. 11 off 7. West Indies 3 down for 17 runs. Is this going to end the same way as the ODI series did, with the West Indies being bowled out cheaply and Australia finishing the job in 41 balls? I really hope not. But Rutherford, the captain, he'll be sitting there going, boys, I'm batting 5. I shouldn't be here yet. Just the inside edge of Mayers. This could be over quickly at the moment, says Nissan. I should mention Xavier Bartlett. I think already I've learnt from watching him during the Big Bash and also the international games. He loves bowling more to right-handers than the left-handers. It's a horrible sound when you hear that death rattle, says Andrew. Definitely when you hear it after you've hit the ball. Like I had that in, I think it's actually the next innings that's coming up on the channel for the GoPro footage. But yeah, you hit it, and then you hear the 2 noises, and the second noise is when the bails come off and that stump's being hit, and you just go, didn't middle that one. What happened to Evan Lewis? Anyone could give answers. And Milne has good pace. I don't actually know, Kevin. Hopefully someone can help you out, though. New Zealand should have put Adam Milne and Martin Guptill in instead of Trent Bolt and putting Conway at 4th. And now Xavier Bartlett, a closeout is over. Very well bowled. Squared up Rodman Powell, but he's defended it well. And that'll be the end of the 3rd over. 3 for 17 now for the West Indies. I chopped on last Saturday, says Nissan. I think I've done it twice. Both times trying to play a similar shot off the front foot. How you saw South Africa innings, again, very slow, and it felt so boring, says Coding. I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I've also had people who have said that at the moment, New Zealand and South Africa seem to be the only test matches who are actually scoring at a test match rate. So, it's a bit of a 50-50. Some people seem to think that it's the only proper test match going on in world cricket today, and other people are saying they hate it. So is that the effect that Bazball and the evolution of cricket is having on test matches? The fact that now anything under 4 and over, people go, oh, they're taking their time a little bit. Tim Sallian's doing better than compared to Trent Boult, though he's 1 year older than him, says Dog. And now Jason Bendorf. Trying to glide that one down to third man. Inglis was there. So, big square boundary, 74 and 82. 67 metres for that mid-wicket boundary. So I think that will actually be the one that they target. It's a bit of a weird-shaped ground, Optus Stadium. Nice drive, straight to the fielder. Timed it well, Roston Chase, to get no runs for that one. Now, I think for the West Indies, I mean, the first goal in a T20 is always bat your overs. Are they playing 2000 to 2010 era of Test cricket? Says Coding. But yeah, like you said in your previous one, very slow and it felt so boring. So, some people would call that the pinnacle era of Test match cricket, but now that's considered as a boring way to play. That is a 6. That is certainly not boring. From Roston Chase, lobbing it down the ground to long on. A lot of kids are starting off playing T20. Do you think that leads to bad technique, says Al Mac? I mean, Glenn Maxwell's a very good advocate, I think, for T20 cricket, and what he said before this match took place, because they were asking him all about the switch shots and all of his unorthodox ones that he plays, and he said that the benefit that he had is, as a young player, he really honed in his technique. And he said that before you start playing all the silly shots of, oh, it's a good direct hit there. The Australians are all appealing now. And they're going to go upstairs. That is, of course, a little bit of a throwback of what happened in the last match. Purangono yet to come, he is out. But yeah, Glenn Maxwell said that without that very strong foundation that he built as a young cricketer, he wouldn't have been able to pull off the shots that he does now. So it's still very important that you get a technique early and you can work upon that. Oh, he was a bit short for a start. Rolling through. Oh, it's in the air. The batter's in the air at the moment. I think he's going to be safe. My head hurts. When I watch these West Indies players waste my sleep watching these madmen. Okay, the bat is grounded. And also gone cheap again, says Kevin, and hey, remember me, says Cornwall, welcome back, mate. And is Daryl Mitchell given rest or is he injured? Not actually sure what the extent is for Daryl Mitchell at the moment, whether he is just being left out for the sake of it. Oh, well, the Aussies won, though. Says Nissan GTR. Now Berendorf. Gone for 7 runs. Yeah, that's in the air. He has managed to lob the field for Rotherford. He just threw his hands at it. Inglis flicks it back to Hardy. And they will get back for the 3. I remember in the Australia West Indies Test, says Cornwall. So I believe it is currently the middle of the night for you, Cornwall, if I'm correct. They're just showing the replay of what happened in the second T20. Yeah, it would have been a run out. Someone actually made a decent point. Although I guess the problem that they had with their theory, they actually said that why didn't the Australians review it? But I don't think you're allowed to review anything once the screen has shown the replay. Yeah, it was a really weird scenario. Are you Milne's dad, Dog? says Fluffy. I think Australia are playing a B-side yet again. West Indies' poor performances continues, says Cody. Although, of course, this innings is not over yet. We could see a big partnership being formed between these two. And are you Bolt's dad, Dolk? Wait, he said his own. I think he meant Fluffy, maybe. Or did he mean his own name? Maybe. Not sure. I'm confused. Bartlett now continuing his bowling. Nicely whipped by Rothman. Or in fact, that time it was Roston Chase. And that ball has been flicked away to the boundary. These two starting to build a nice partnership here. Already up to the 15 runs off only about maybe 9 deliveries or so. A misfield from Tim David. He just didn't quite get down enough for that one. Oh, hit down the ground. And he has timed it nicely. Roston Chase, another boundary back to back off Xavier Bartlett's bowling. Looking for that short boundary. Roston Chase already moving to 17 runs off 8 deliveries. Bartlett trying to use the swing. That time he didn't look for the away swinger though. Instead, I think he was trying to get a little bit of in swing on that delivery. 2 in a row for Roston Chase. Can he keep this temperament going? A little bit slower and a little bit shorter for Bartlett. Work down to deep third man. Another one taken. And by the way, Hamish, if you see New Zealand winning T20 World Cup, would you be satisfied or shocked? I mean, I'd be very impressed. Just showing the replay of that last run out appeal there from the Australians. Just making sure that they heard it. Nicely glided. Third man again. This has been a good over. Once again, 10 runs off Xavier Bartlett's first 4 balls. Now, that is how it went in his last over. And then he picked up the wicket on the 5th ball. And Trent Boult now automatically becomes available for T20 series. Will he play in the T20 World Cup? Says Coding. It's a great question. It all depends on what the selectors are deciding on, really. I think that they will probably put him back in if he's available. Short. It's going to be off the glove of Roston Chase. That'll be 6 runs now. Didn't even look like he really timed it, but with how short the boundaries are straight down the ground, it means that it is easy enough if you get anything on the ball for it to go all the way for 6. For a country with a population of 75, they continue punching in above their weight in cricket, says Fluffy. And I think this West Indies 2020 team has not played their A game. I won't say poor performance, scoring 200 plus in both games. Says Kevin, that's in the air. Oh, I thought it went straight to the man. It will be down to a third man again. And that'll close out the over. An expensive over from Xavier Bartlett. For a total of 17 runs from it. And that helps the West Indies get back towards possibility of 60 after the first 6 overs of this one. But yeah, like you said, Kevin, the fact that they've been able to score 200 plus in both of the T20s, I feel like is, it's impressive in its own right, if that makes sense. Like, yes, they haven't won the games, but they're still scoring a decent amount of runs, which up against 90% of other sides, 200 would be enough to win a game. But unfortunately, they're playing Australia, who have shown time and time again how dangerous they can be when they get around that 200 mark. And there's a club in India with 6 million members, says Fluffy, and if Daryl Mitchell was performing like as Zaman did to New Zealand, would Daryl Mitchell create history for Kiwis in the semis? Says Dog. Also the bat and ball emoji there from Nissan. Spencer Johnson. Come into the bowling attack for the Australians. Oh, and they've managed to pierce a gap in the field again. Managed to get at least the 2. I think this is going to be 3. Inglis has had to run a very long way The relay throw with Marsh, they're going to take on the 4 runs, and they have managed to do it here for the West Indies. They're certainly going to end up gassing out the legs for the players. Seen so far 25 sixes from the West Indies throughout the series, whereas we've only seen the 20 sixes from the Australians. Why don't you cover the Cricket World Cup 2023 with the dead emoji, says Dog. Pretty much the reasoning is anytime we've tried to do a Cricket World Cup, we get copyright struck, which then means that we are unable to live stream for 2 weeks, so we lose all form of, I guess, live streaming on the channel, including the other sports that we do. So that has been the reasoning behind it, pretty much because other cricket YouTube channels send copyright strikes out to try and give themselves the advantage. 29 runs for Roston Chase off 13 deliveries. Chase-Powell sitting at the non-strikers end. He's on 4 runs off the 3. Hasn't got off to a flying start as of yet, but he was a little bit slow building. Oh, the French cut from Roston Chase. He will take that every day of the week. It is going to be 4 runs. Spencer Johnson looking a little bit frustrated now at his home ground. He's absolutely loving it. He managed to pick up a few wickets. Here he is struggling a little bit more. I see a very fine line between chopping it through the gap. It's not a dead emoji, it's skull emoji. It's very popular in YouTube comments. Says a dog, although it normally is supposed to be like the I'm dead type meaning behind it, isn't it? You can make a separate channel for Cricket World Cup. You can live stream there just to prevent any copyright strike on the main channel. Says coding. The biggest problem with that though is you normally don't have 90% of the people who you would have on the main channel, so you end up only streaming it for about 3 of the viewers, and then you still have the rest of the viewers going, why aren't you streaming the Cricket World Cup? So it's kind of a lose-lose scenario when you try and make other channels to compensate for it, because for one, not many people find that other channel, so then your regulars don't tune in anyway, and then the other side of things is, you know, it is a lot of effort to get another channel up and running just to not do anything on it after the World Cup. Another single taken by the West Indies. They move up to 55 at the moment. One big shot here and they will be close to that 60 mark. If Sheep play cricket, they have a much larger fan or a much larger player base. Says Fluffy. I know, man, if Sheep was wicketkeeper in New Zealand World Cup, New Zealand would have finally won the World Cup. Says a dog. Roston Chase, he has got off to an absolutely flying start after the 2. Quick wickets did fall, or giving himself some space. Be a dot ball to close out the Spencer Johnson over. Establish your very own internet, call that Hammy Tube, says Fluffy. I don't think I'll be doing that. And hello everyone, hope you're all doing well, says Pads. Hopefully you are too, mate. The end of the power play, 55 runs on the board for the West Indies. We saw 3 quick wickets falling. At one point in this match, the West Indies were 3 for 17, but already about a 38-run partnership between these two men. Chase-Powell not scoring a huge amount of them, but Roston Chase was already sitting on 34 off 16. 2 sixes, 3 fours. Now the West Indies, they just need to continue building upon this. Batting power plays, they've lost the most wickets that they have throughout a power play, and they are actually on the lowest amount of runs that they have had throughout a power play so far. Of course, losing Johnson Charles so early on did hurt them quite drastically. Aaron Hardy now to bowl. Best is 1 for 20. It's going to be hit down the ground. Nice easy single for Chase-Powell. Have you visited any countries? I have visited 2 other countries other than the one that I live in. What do you think of New Zealand versus South Africa so far? I think South Africa have fought back pretty well after losing a lot of their main key batsmen throughout the first and second sessions. They managed to build up that partnership late. And yeah, hopefully they work their way towards around that 350 mark just to really make it a competitive test match. How much sheep you see in your area? You see sheep anywhere you drive pretty much. Where we are, nicely glided to third man. Spencer Johnson. Takes it nicely there. Run rate at the moment is 9 for the West Indies, so ticking along quite nicely. Rutherford, he didn't really speed up in the run scoring department up until his side started being a little bit further behind the game, and that's when he started getting more aggressive, and he almost managed to work his way towards that half century. He's almost been clean bowled there by Aaron Hardy, who already had his arm up celebrating. But Rutherford just really exposing his stumps. Goes right over the top. No, I don't think they get 350, maybe near to 300 due to wickets in hand. Yeah, that one's just missed by about 3 inches or so. Hardy will be disappointed, but this is a good over so far. 3 balls bowled, 2 runs off him. Needs to keep it tight. That is a short ball. And it is a wide. A little bit too short from Aaron Hardy. Trying to mix it up a little bit. I hope Kane Williamson plays cricket until 2030. Says Dole Battery. I think that was to try and lure in Rutherford to playing that pull shot. Hello, bro. Says Shashank. Welcome in, mate. You are doing well once again. I should mention just around the corner, of course, India versus England going to be taking place for their test match. Feels like quite a long break in between tests. Oh, that's an unorthodox shot from Rutherford. He was stepping away to the left. In fact, no, he went right. So he was trying to get wide outside of the ball to ramp it. And then Aaron Hardy followed him, which then meant that he played some sort of weird scoop shot for it too, just chipped into the field out mid-wicket way. That is one of the best and unorthodox ways to get a 2 that I've seen. What do you think about Rachin Ravindra? He's doing very well with the ball in hand at the moment. We have got there Blood Ronaldo. Can also play at 39 years old. Says Dog Battery. Aaron Hardy's gone for the 5 runs now off the 4 deliveries, trying to avoid. Oh, Matthew Wade getting it hard with that ball, and there will be the bye. Not having the best day at the moment at wicketkeeper Matthew Wade, and there are the rumours, of course, of whether or not Inglis will take on the wicket-keeping role for the World Cup. Just a little bit of a slower delivery. And to be fair, that ball did take quite a deviation out of the pitch or out of the grass. That's in the air. It's going to fall safe. 1 bounce out to Xavier Bartlett in the deep. That'll be the end of the over. 7 overs down now, 62 for 3. India versus England. We're starting from 15th of February after approximately 10 days. Says Shashank. It's either after 10 days or not. Says Fluffy, although to be fair, depending on whereabouts you are, like in terms of time zones, will depend on what you count as, you know, your starting time. It's like Adam Zampa now into the bowling attack for the Australians. He did manage to finish all 4 of his overs in the last game. There was a bit of controversy around him as well in terms of when he was allowed to be able to bowl. He hadn't been on the field for long enough. Averages 22, economy of just over 7. I think if he can keep this tight here, because he's got Roston Chase on strike, and I feel like a spinner bowling to a spinner normally ends up with a few boundaries coming. But then it also ends up eventually normally with the wicket falling, because they both want to outdo each other. That is just something that spinners seem to have, that unwritten rivalry of, we both want to hit each other for 6, so let's see who can do it better. Now the 6 hitting advantage, you would have to say, goes to Roston Chase, but can the bowling advantage of Zampa mean that he can pick up this wicket, with Chase currently sitting with a strike rate of 200 on the 36 runs? Will be on strike for the Windies. Zampa pitching it up. It's driven down the ground from Chase. They'll just get the 1 down to Glenn Maxwell. Now Rutherford on strike. We have got Jenny in the chat. Second test ended on 5th of February. Third is going to start from the 15th, says Shashank. Yeah, looks so open for runs square of the wicket, but that's what Zampa wants from the batsman, to get them hitting across against the spin. Oh, that one's hit hard down the ground, or the ground, sorry, from Chase-Powell. Full toss. Back fast and hard. And an easy 4 runs. Lots of controversy. There's Nissan GTR. Yeah, a little bit too full. Chase-Powell charging down the wicket. I don't even know if that one was going to be bouncing for Adam Zampa before the crease. Had Powell not advanced. Oh, dragged down from Adam Zampa. That's something you don't see too often, making an error with the ball in hand. Hamish gets this flag. It doesn't actually come through on my software. It just comes through as MO. So, like, I would say at a guess, wait on. I'll go on to the live stream section on YouTube Studio. It hasn't come through yet. Okay, it doesn't come through on there either. It just comes through as MO. Like, MO, I think, would be like somewhere like Mongolia, just because it has MO in it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was somewhere else. Partnership of 55 of 29 deliveries now. Working very nicely. South Africans were in shell for the whole day, just 220, 230 in the whole day. Says Shashank, yeah, it did take them a little bit to try and get going. And the match, hello, says Lyndon, welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing well. Very excited for, oh, bowled him straight through. I mentioned about it, the spinners battle, and Zampa has won this one here. Getting rid of Roston Chase, 37 off 20 balls. That is the much needed wicket for the Australians. Like I just said, the 50-run plus partnership, that one's gone the other way. And it's a great ball from Adam Zampa. Yeah, Lyndon, do you know if you are playing us this weekend, or are you playing someone else? I think we are playing a Timaru Boys side, but I'm not sure if we're playing your side or if we're playing the other team from Timaru Boys. Good fight back, my country skipper. Power, just keep going, says Wilbert. I like my South Africans. And the 6-wicket partnership was good, says Shashank. Is George a brother? He is not, no. Just coming back enough, and you can see Roston Chase. He knows that was the mistake that he couldn't afford to make for the West Indies, as that now gives Zampa his first wicket. West Indies, they have lost their 4th. Now, the benefit is, they've still got Chase-Powell there. Oh, yeah, you're playing us. Will be an interesting game. I think we're at School Park, if I'm correct. Shafane Rutherford. 36 is his best. He's got a strike rate of almost 150, so he can strike the ball extremely well when he needs to. But the interesting factor here is how quickly does he try and attack. Can't really afford to attack from the very get-go to get dismissed only in about the 3rd delivery of the last match. He has worked it to the leg side. Zampa will keep it to 1. And a very good over from Adam Zampa. He did go for 2 boundaries back-to-back, but the wicket did fall in the end. The score is good. Now we're playing at Boys High. Whereabouts is that? So that's not... Oh, wait. What one's School Park? Is that Old Boys Ground, Lyndon, or is it somewhere else? And the score is good. The number of wickets is bad. West Indies need to hold it here and play Zampa carefully, says Shashank. That reminds me, preseason rugby has started. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it due to an injury. You really brought that wicket, talking about a spinner trying to outdo a spinner. I may have jinxed it a little bit, but that's just always what happens when you're facing a spinner, no matter what level. Like club cricket on a Saturday or international level, if you're batting to a spinner and you're a spinner, you're trying to hit that spinner for as many runs as you can, because you know as soon as it's your turn with the ball in hand, they're going to do the same thing. Oh, awkward one there for Rutherford. I think that ball actually took out his leg. Do you know Hassi Mamla? I do, yes. Not personally, but I know of him. Most of these young players are now exposed to Australian conditions, says Kevin. Yeah, like a lot of these young guys, it's going to be a great opportunity for them to just learn what it's like playing in Australia. Of course, a little bit more of a bouncy wicket. I don't know what happened to Rutherford's leg there. The only description I can think of is either he just tried to get the leg out of the way, in which case he fell, or he got hit on the knee. And sometimes when you get hit on the knee, it kind of gets that reflex going and maybe his legs straightened. Why that much over Swarachin? It's a green top, says Shajan, because he was bowling well. That is going to be 4 runs. Great shot from Powell. 21 of 12 deliveries. A little bit slower from Hardy, but it was up in the slot. Managed to get it through the gap. Right out of the middle of the bat as well. Powell just having a scan of the field. Ooh. Didn't try and play it that one. It was a bit too wide outside of his off stump. That limited foot movement as well, it meant that he would have had to reach for it. That's how we actually saw Nicholas Purran losing his wicket. Got to water me rock melons. Good night and good luck. Now, you played us at School Park last time. But this time we are playing on the field on Boys High. Is it a grass wicket or artificial, Lyndon? Oh, it's a wide ball from Hardy. And what club do you play for? Just the local one. Some of you guys will know from the videos. Anyone who hasn't already seen the latest GoPro video, grass. That's not fun. We played on a grass wicket last week and it was awful. Like, it was being watered because it was almost rugby season. And the variable bounce was pretty rough, to say the least. Now Aaron Hardy. It's an edge! And Matthew Wade takes the catch. Powell is gone, and that is the West Indies' 5th wicket falling now. It's not good. And that is going to put them in a tricky scenario that now they are sitting with the tail, or at least their middle order. Just an edge there. Powell, once again, limited foot movement. I don't know. There's Lyndon. And there as well. Yeah, should be a fun game. I've only played on it once. There's Lyndon. Powell dismissed 21 off 14 deliveries. I wish it was better Virat Kohli or Babar Azam. Said dull battery. Depends on where you're from, because there seems to be a very, very thick line drawn in the sand. If you're from India, it's Virat. If you're from Pakistan, it's Babar Azam. And there's no right answer. And once again, all pressure is on Russell to hit the runs. It's a disappointing way to go for Powell, but Andre Russell coming in at 7. Got to remember, they've still got Jason Holder, they've still got Romario Shepherd, Alzari Joseph in that batting order, but the fact that they haven't even faced the 10 overs as of yet makes me a little bit concerned. Russell's going to need a big 50 here, at least, to get them back in the right position. Is Hammy a nickname? Only for some people. And by some I mean like 5 people, maybe. I see a lot of Bubba fans than Kohli outside India, says Coding. So they got the 3 men deep on the onside, 1 at deep cover, and then 1 at deep third man. That's nicely whipped off the pads for Russell. We'll just take the single. Of course, he has had quite a history of leg injuries, Andre Russell, so he won't be looking to scamper through for too many quick 2s this early on in his innings. Currently still actually stretching out his back as well, Andre Russell, just trying to warm up. There are some long boundaries that he's got to try and deal with. Got 1 run off 2 balls in Hobart, 37 off 16 for the Adelaide match. Aussies prefer Babar Azam, but all Europeans prefer Virat Kohli. Played down the ground from Rutherford. That'll be the end of the Aaron Hardy over. I just gone to wash my hands and West Indies lost 2 wickets. Says Coding there. The run rate's still at 8.89. I mentioned anything under 200 is going to be a struggle for them to be able to defend. We are just seeing all of the wickets that fell. I would say maybe one of the wickets is a legitimate unlucky, and that would be probably Mayers, although saying that there wasn't a lot of shuffle in there either. Roston Chase was just a big hoik that he tried to do. limited foot movement from Chase-Powell led to his wicket. Same with Purin. And then a bit too much shuffling from Johnson-Charles. So, to be honest, the Windies are throwing their wickets away and it's hurting them in this matchup. Andre Russell, the last man that they want to throw away his wicket, is that guy. Because he can be the guy that gets a quick fire 75 off 30 deliveries. Spencer Johnson, though, back into the attack. They've gone with the man with the most pace in the Australian lineup. I think that is on purpose. Try and hurry Russell up a little bit here. Oh! That's a really weird looking one. That one's come right back in to Andre Russell. I don't know where it's hit him. I thought it hit him on the chest, but I think it's hit him on the hand here. For Andre Russell, he looks like he's in a bad way. He's actually shaking his hand like that. But just ended up coming right back in, and it's hit him on that part. Now, there's not a lot of protection there, even less on my hand. Just fell straight backwards for Andre Russell. And West Indies, they stay up to 2:15 or 2:45 in the morning for this. Says Babaliko. If you get asked about Babara's arm over at Kohli, the correct answer is Williamson. Russell's a strong dude. He can withstand it. Says Coding. Although saying that, like, a broken hand's a broken hand. Like, there's fighting through a broken hand. But sometimes, you know, if you can't hold your bat handle. Yeah, the way he fell back just looked really awkward for him. It looked like he did actually take the shot on the chest the original way he fell. That ball just followed him. Is there another T20 series against New Zealand and Australia coming up? There certainly is. I think it's a 3-match series between the sides. And then, of course, those test matches coming up. Right, they've got some magic spray. It's pretty much that cold spray. It's almost a little bit of a numbing agent, but also it seems to just help in terms of injuries. Yeah, just knocking Andre Russell down. That first ball, Spencer Johnson, he's going to be continuing. But the question is, what kind of impact does that add on Andre Russell? Has that rattled him to the extent of throwing away his wicket? Now, I will mention Johnson-Charles. He went out the very next ball after being hit with it. So, see whether or not Spencer Johnson can do the same. Very poor performance, West Indies. And from 21st of February, it's Australia versus New Zealand, 3 T20s and 2 tests. Hey, bro, I don't know what's a West Indian team problem. Crossed 200 2 times. Chase bat second. Oh, giving himself space there, Andre Russell. Does not connect too well with it, though. And they don't actually run a single from that one. New Zealand is former world champions of Test cricket, while Australia always are not playing at least 3 Test series, just 2 Tests. I think it is down to the fact that the schedules are just so stacked for Test match cricket. But then also alongside that, I think, yeah, like I'm not a fan of 2-match series. I feel every Test series should be at least 3 matches. Or a big swing, no connection for Andre Russell there. I think at the moment his hand is stinging badly. And it kind of looks like he's just decided he's going to start swinging. And that is when they can't get him out. On which ground is this happening? It is Optus Stadium. So quite long boundary square of the wicket. 74 metres and 80 metres. Which is where Andre Russell is trying to hit the ball. Although down the ground towards mid-wicket is actually 67 metres. So that's the boundary he'll be after. But can he time it? No ODIs. Don't believe so. Oh, he's hit that one deep. Has found the gap as well, Andre Russell. And it'll be a 1 bounce 4. Whether he's one-handed or not, still has that possession of power to be able to hit it to the boundary. Test Cricketers Lost Project knows for sponsor. So less test matches, says Salihin. And Spencer Johnson for 10 in the IPL. It will be interesting to see him. There's Shashank, and also best batter for the West Indies, Jason Holder, is yet to come. Says Coding, and I always find it's kind of confusing how low down the order they play Holder. Definitely if Romario Shepherd. Oh, that's gone up. Andre Russell has hit it for 6. Has managed to get the distance that he required for that shot. just before the 10 over mark. And they are still looking at 200 here. The West Indies, even with 5 wickets down, types of shots like that from Andre Russell changed the game. Just dropped his head and has hoped not to be hit with the ball. And that's gone into the grandstand. Good evening, Kiwi lads. Says Blues Nate, welcome in, mate. 10 runs off Spencer Johnson's over thus far. 6 in this series. The West Indies now move up to 26. That one's gone high. I don't think he's going to get to it. No, Tim David, he's one of the slower fielders for the Australians. And I think that's what probably let them down there. Doesn't get to it. Wishes he could have. I think he's going to have a very good knock today. Says Shashank. And I actually think Martin Gupta will be selected in the World Cup squad. Probably not. 93 metres. Well, that's 6 from Andre Russell. And it was 150 plus for the West Indies. Let's get it, lads. Says Blues Nate. Yeah, it's definitely more than doable for them from where they are. I think that over 180 is more than doable for them from this point. But it's whether or not they can handle defending that good ball. The likes of Andre Russell. He got bowled by Adam Zampa in his first innings off the second ball. I'd like to think that he would have learnt his lesson here. Looks like Zampa will once again be bowling to Rutherford, who, fun fact, has not faced the ball in quite some time. He's been sitting down the other end. He's on 1 off 3. Yeah, he's probably had about maybe 25 or 30 minutes out there in the middle. Now Zampa. Oh, he hasn't timed that one, Rutherford. Oh, tell you what, he didn't time it, but it still raced to the boundary. That is the short boundary. And good evening, Mr. Bads Blaze. All's well on my side. Good to hear from you, mate. But yeah, it's gone for 6. I don't know. He's got a bit of it. I still didn't think he got anywhere near as much of that as he wanted. It's probably gone. Yeah, it's come right off the top of the bat. Probably gone about 75 metres, all well fielded by Mitch Marsh. And let's go, says Blues. No need Labuschagne out there. Says Nissan GTR. Now the run rate. It's almost gone up to that 10 mark. Nicely whipped to the leg side. Looks like they're going to try and hustle. Now this is all down to Andre Russell and how fast he wants to move. And they take the single. I'm going to ask the question now in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen. West Indies to score 200 in this game, yes or no? Can they get the 200 mark? I'm going to say no, but I think they'll be quite close. Will Trent Bolt come up or come back for the World Cup, says Shashank? It's really, to be honest, it's up to Trent Bolt because he's probably the only man at the moment who we can actually learn from in terms of whether he's going to do it. Like, I think that he will, but then you just never know. That's going to be a massive 6 down the ground from Andre Russell. It was pitched up from Zampa. And I know that feeling all too well. You put the ball on the stumps, then you get someone in the nets. Just smacks you down the ground in the air. That is a big 6 for Andre Russell. Already 2 6s in the Zampa over. Oh, massive full toss. I think that's going to be at least... Oh, he's done well there, Glenn Maxwell. Sliding towards the boundary rope. They've got back for 3. So I believe that's going to be a no ball. Do they get a... Is it a no ball? It's almost got to be, doesn't it? They are just also going to be looking at this one to see whether or not Glenn Maxwell has put this ball... Oh, yeah, no, he's done very well there, Glenn Maxwell. Knew he was going to be sliding into the rope. So keeps it alive. Right, I think this was a free hit. Yes, it is. So already 4 runs off this Zampa delivery that he still has to bowl again. It's all my bro. I don't be a stranger because Hamish makes me work too hard, says Blues Nate. Have you been to Dubai? I have not, no. Now Rutherford will be on strike for the free hit. Oh, is it a wide? Nope, it is not. It is going to be the dot ball. Just one more to go now. Glenn Maxwell or Jadeja was the better fielder. I think they're both very, very talented. Could have almost been a wide for Zampa there. Russell's on 22 off 9. Said about him getting to 70 off 30. I think that's more than doable for him at the moment. That was the wrong in from Adam Zampa, the single. Oh, an ugly throw from Glenn Maxwell. But Matthew Wade's done well to take it, and that'll be the end of the over. 110 for 5. About to see that 6 down the ground here. Huge power from Andre Russell. Ball speed in was only 72, and he's generated 80 kilometres an hour from just swinging. I can make Hamish work hard, says Pedza. And Cameron Green is a better fielder, says Nissan GTR. Although Cam Green also, to his credit, has about an extra 20 or so centimetres of height on both of them, if not more. So he's got that advantage. What do you think about 200 runs for the West Indies? I think that they're going to get very close. My original prediction, I don't know if I actually ever said it, but I was thinking 196. And I'll be honest, I'm actually, I was a bit concerned when they lost those 3 quick wickets. I thought maybe it was going to be a lot lower, but I'd still say 196 is definitely a reachable amount for the West Indies. Definitely if Russell was still out there, they've got Holder to come. Rutherford sitting on 9 of 8, but only a couple big shots from him. And he'll be getting up there in the strike rate. 200 plus, says Kevin Simpson, and mine's 214, says Shashank. So I'd assume that in your case, Russell would get that half century. Oh, let's come off the outside edge of Rutherford. And that's the thing. For Rutherford here, you just need to get a single. Because when you've got Andre Russell in this kind of mood of trying to hit the ball for 6 most deliveries, yes, he will eventually go out, but you want to give him as much time on strike as you can in quick succession, because that seems to be when he gets his rhythm really going. So, yep. Oh, he's hit it to the fielder again for Rutherford. That is 2 balls in a row. He's tried to just glide out for 1. Hasn't been able to. 200 could be chance. Mostly depends on Russell. Says Bads Ablaze, and Rutherford needs to play less balls. He is wasting balls, says Coding. And to his credit, he is trying to get Andre Russell back on strike, but he's not willing to take those quick singles. Andre Russell, as he shouldn't have to. There should be other gaps that Rutherford can hit the ball to. He's advanced 3 dot balls in a row. Brilliant bowling from Bendorf, and this will bring frustration for the West Indies. Rutherford is also a good player, but in front of Russell, he's looking so pale, says Shashank. Like I said just a little bit ago, I think the commentators are now mentioning it as well. You need Russell on strike because, he's hitting the ball well. He's hit a few 6s already. So he needs to be the one facing a majority of the balls in this middle patch. They've got the single this time. It's still relatively tight. Oh, Russell took the blow on the leg as well there, but he has got through. Now 2 balls remaining in the over. So Andre Russell, this one, of course, he'll try and hit for 6 if he gets the chance. And then, to be honest, the next one he'll probably try and hit for 6 as well. He tried to jump over that one. Luckily, it has hit him on the bat. A great bowling from Bendorf. Holder should have come instead of Rutherford, says Coding. And Russell, good Yorker bowled. And they'll take the single. It was close for Rutherford, but he gets through. Brilliant bowling from Bendorf. 2 6s and 2 balls to make the over good, says Shashank. And good morning, says Patrick. And of course, we need to give a huge amount of credit here to Jason Bendorf with how quickly he's been able to rotate from going for 55 in the last game to now sitting, only going for the 16 in total. It's a short ball. It's called as a wide. It's gone just a little bit over the head of Rutherford. He's disappointed about it, but it was quite short from Bendorf. We might get to see a replay. And yeah, that's high enough. Another one earlier on was given as a wide. Russell versus Maxwell, which is the bigger match winner and ball hitter. Says Cody. I mean, throughout this series, you'd have to give that to Maxwell. And glided, no run. Great over from Bendorf. I would like a food morning, says Bads of Blaze. I would love a food morning, definitely if it involved breakfast foods. Maxwell can be on a good day, says Nissan, but it was quite interesting. Maxwell, when his team win, he's normally got an average of, I think it was 45, whereas when they lose in T20, he only averages 14. So that stat alone should tell you Maxwell is a match changer. Showing some of the highlights of Andre Russell already. Go. So the odds at the moment, the West Indies, even though they have lost those 5 wickets, I'll be honest, it's still not looking great for them, but they are sitting 36%. So it could have been a lot worse at this stage. Russell don't play internationals, no competition, says Coding, but now Aaron Hardy. Getting ready to go for his third over. He's only gone for 6 and over. But at this point, he could end up going for 6 a ball up against Andre Russell. When he starts swinging, he's played that sensibly though. And no run taken, another dot ball. Hardy is replacing Adam Zampa, who is older out of the two. I believe Russell is the older competitor. Late, just awake. Can't believe West Indies had lost 5 wickets already, says Patrick. Although, even saying that, with the 5 wickets falling, they were 3 for 17. So they've almost got 100 runs with just those next 2 wickets falling, including a 50-run partnership between Rutherford and Roston Chase. They've still been ticking over at about that 9 and a bit per over. Big full toss from Aaron Hardy. He'll be disappointed to miss out on that one, Russell, but he just gets the single down the ground. Now, Aaron Hardy is going to pay for Bendorf. Good over, I think, says Shashank, although he has got the right man on strike at the moment. I think Rutherford is definitely the man that they would prefer to face a majority of the remaining balls here. Still that left and right hand combination for the West Indies. It's actually quite a left hand, right hand type of lineup for them in this game. They have 1 of each for the opening combo. Then you've got Purin, who is the left-hander, all giving himself a bit of space there, beautifully claimed by Aaron Hardy. Another dot. Australia has so many options and all-rounders to turn to, says Coding. Well, that's the thing. Tim David hasn't even had a bowl yet in any of the series matches. And, you know, he's got the ability to do not too badly in the bowling department. They don't need him. They've got so many other choices that they can go to. Well, yeah, it was just inside of the wide line. Nicely bowled by Hardy. And this is probably the best thing that Australia can do here. And that is to stop Andre Russell from not only getting the strike, but have him sit at the other end while the other man isn't scoring runs. Rutherford's now gone up to 10 off 15. And if one of the top order batsmen for the West Indies gets settled, the odds would have been different, says Shashank. And just run, or just rust, I have to bat through the innings. Good reflex, says Blues Nate for Hardy. Glided there from Rutherford. They're going to take on the 2, and they get back for it. Fish and chips, says the house. Still, we are yet to see too much of Andre Russell throughout this innings. Only the 12 balls faced. He's sitting on 24 runs in totals, and last 11 balls, only 6 runs says Coding. Yeah, run rate of 3.27 per over at the moment from the last 11 deliveries. Last ball, Rutherford goes for it. It looks pretty big. And it's gone into the stands. 6 runs to close out the over. Great shot from Rutherford. Makes it 9 runs off the over. And come on, Rutherford, hit it out or get out. Says Kevin. And the last 2 overs have been very good for the Aussies, says Shashank. Inglis thought he had a decent chance of being able to take that one. Did Warner break a leg? Hope so, says the house. He is not, no, but he will be batting in the second innings. Guys, get down on the like button, please. We only have 26 with 300 watching. I also subscribe to help out the Kiwi lads to do more amazing content and commentary. Says Beds of Blaze. So yeah, anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 47,000 subscribers, I believe. Although we should hit 46,000 first. Which is the next goal. We are only 250 away. 240, 250 is still on. 10 and over from here would get them to 192. So theoretically, they would need about 17 or 18 and over from here to get that 240 mark. I think 200 is still on the cards. Nice wide ball just over the hands of the man at cover. So 4 runs for Andre Russell again. We have Gideon Hope Warner has his cheating cap on, says the house. And also, let's go, says Blues Nate. Warner will play in the New Zealand T Series or not. I'm not actually too sure. To be honest, I know that Australia have announced their teams, though, I believe. Would you like to do commentary in an India versus England Test match? I'd love to be able to do the commentary. It's just whether or not the schedule allows me to. Now Russell, dragged down again. Worked to the lead side. He was thinking about the 2. He was actually moving quite nicely between the wickets. Mute hours, no negativity, says Alidians. He normally will behave, to be fair. But he looks like he's misbehaving today, doesn't he? Almost a run rate of 10. That's what the West Indies need. And after 5 hours, what time it will be in New Zealand? In 5 hours' time, it is 3 a.m. roughly here in New Zealand. But Zampa now bowling to Rutherford, dragged down. Didn't get hold of it. They'll still get the 1. And the house, I can sort you out, says Beds of Blaze. And Holden next, says Kevin Simpson. Yeah, I feel like they need to give hold of the promotion ahead of Romario Shepherd if we see a wicket soon. That's not to say we will see one, though. These two have actually built a very nice partnership, almost 50 runs, full toss from Zampa. I don't think it's just going to be the 1. Yes, it is, just the 1 run taken. Russell was complaining for a start and then realised that he only just got back when he was a few steps out of the crease. Rutherford on 18. Balls faced, 19 runs on the board for him. Zampa now. Keep this tight for the last 2 balls. Rutherford, that's too defensive, I think, for a T20 match. Looking like he's playing a test match again. How is the haircut of Russell? I really don't like it, says Coding. It just looks like a standard haircut to me. Looks like he's got a bit of a mohawk on top with a bit of bleached blonde up on top. And that's worked to the leg side. They'll take on the 1. And he will retain the strike now, Rutherford, for the next over. Decent from Zampa. 8 runs off it. And 51-run partnership now between these two. I don't want to, but been really good so far. So I don't want stuff to get out of hand. Says Beds of Blaze. They keep pushing lads, Rutherford and Russell. And 50 partnerships, says Shashank. Be hit down the ground, though. Those big shots from Andre Russell. just lobbing it over cover, though. That was probably the closest that they've been to being able to get his wicket. 51 off 33 balls and one a potential weakness of Russell. He only hits the leg side, especially on mid-wicket. Yeah, he hasn't had too many shots that have gone out through the offside. And I think because the offside is the shorter of the two boundaries, the Aussies don't want to take too many risks of bowling it out there, but you have to try and, I guess, manage it quite well. Xavier Bartlett back into the bowling attack. He's got away with a dot ball for his first delivery. Hi, everyone. Says Warren Edwards. 20 off 20 at the moment for Rutherford. I feel like that's just not quite quick enough. Unfortunately, in this scenario, they need to keep either Russell on strike, because he's still going at the 200 mark in terms of strike rate. And for his strike rate the way that it is, it's going to be hit down the ground. Just take the one again. Good partnership. Congrats. Good repair job, says Kevin Simpson. Run rate consistently staying around that 9 to 9.5 mark. Russell on strike now, though. Bartlett has gone for 32 runs. This is the type of 4-ball spell that either you finish with 35 runs in total off your bowling, or you end up in the scenario of going for 50. Come on, Australia, says Robert. How much do you earn off this stream, says the house? Probably a lot less than you think. All I'm going to say is we do it for the fun and the hobby of it, not for the money, because if we were doing it for the money, we wouldn't be able to afford Wi-Fi to do these streams. I get the wickets in, says Robert. And for the Windies to have a chance of a win, they have to make 250 or more, says Patrick. Oh, I don't know about 250. I feel like 200. If this wicket starts playing up later on in the day, that's a great slower ball from Xavier Bartlett outside of off stump. Last 15 balls, we have seen 18 runs scored. Yeah, a little bit of a leg cutter there from Xavier Bartlett. A nice little bit of extra pop on that delivery too. Well, Russell was going to absolutely throw everything into that shot. Now Bartlett again outside off, and somehow Russell hoiks it to the leg side. They've got the man back there. Bendorf claims it. And they'll get the single once more. Good bowling from Bartlett in his final over here. Got himself the 2 wickets on debut. Would love another one. But this is a little bit of a similar scenario to Stoinis the other night. And that is, I don't think they necessarily want to get Rutherford out here. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, him being dismissed would be good for them. But it's, he's got it for 4 there, Rutherford. They might not want to give him too many freebies like that delivery from Bartlett, the slower ball, but it was short, so it ends up sitting up. But yeah, they're in that scenario of, like, yeah, he hasn't been scoring quickly. Jason Holder, I think, will score a lot quicker. A nice keep switching batsman to bowler. Keep resetting, frustrating. Says Blues, Nate. Have you purchased something with YouTube money that you are proud of? For example, some phone or software, says Coding. A little bit shorter from Xavier Bartlett. I mean, the microphone that we're using currently was purchased through the channel. Same with the green screen that we've got behind us. They're probably our 2 biggest ones, really, in terms of from the channel. I hit the ball cover drive and make them bowl, says Kevin. But that is the end of the Bartlett spell. 2 for 37, so not a bad one for Xavier Bartlett. Now Spencer Johnson at the other end, another young man who has to try and keep the bowling line tight. But I think that Xavier Bartlett just showed if you put the ball outside of off stump, that is where Russell might end up struggling. I should start a new internet fund, says Bads and Blaze. I mean, yesterday I ended up, or the day before I think it was, I ended up spending a fair bit on data so that I could keep the streams running. But, geez, internet fund's an old school one. Pads, we haven't had one of those in like 2 years on the channel, I don't think. Spencer Johnson, economy of 11 like I mentioned. Gave Andre Russell a ball that came back in towards them and actually hit him right on the side of the hand. There was a little bit of discomfort here Well, the big man Russell pitches it up outside off stump. Russell tries to hit him straight down the ground. Knows what shot he should have played, which was that cover drive, but instead tried to hoik it towards the leg side. And it's another dot ball. Andre Russell, is your Wi-Fi fixed now? It is not, no, but luckily it hasn't cut out so far today. So fingers crossed that it will remain that way. We've got the start of the new internet fund. Says pads are there. Outside off. Slashed at that one, Andre Russell. And they will once again just get that single. I feel like this little bowling patch here is stopping the 200 from being a possibility. Like I said, he clears the front leg, Andre Russell, the way that he does set up. Padza has paid your internet bill for this month. I wish that is all the internet cost, but it is greatly appreciated, Paddy, of course. Oh, that's gone up. One-handed shot, and it's a 6. Targeted the short boundary there, Rutherford. Channel's getting too many ads these days. Says BRB. I have to work out, because I know that YouTube, there was a recent update about 3 months ago or so. And it used to just be you get an ad at the start of a YouTube stream and the end of a YouTube stream. But now I think there's ads in between in YouTube streams, if I'm correct. I'm sure you guys will be able to help me out in terms of that information. But yeah, I think there are ads in between. Oh, it's another 6. Spencer Johnson's got it wrong, and the catch is taken by a very confident, probably ex-cricketer, I would say. And a dollar bill, y'all. Yes, in the beginning, in the middle, says Robert. Okay, I take it back. I think that they want to get Rutherford out because he has now gone back-to-back 6s. YouTube has launched mid-roll ads to increase revenue for creators. Yes, in the beginning and in the middle, says Robert. How much Wi-Fi costs in New Zealand dollars? It's a wee bit. Like, depending on whereabouts you are, it's triple figures. Well, it's at the pad. Well, chased by Spencer Johnson. He's in between streams, not a fan of that. Says BRB. I'll be honest, I have no idea how to work YouTube. I've mentioned this many times. And I think because I stream through a different, option, if that makes sense. So, I don't actually stream directly through the YouTube studio. I stream through StreamYard. So, I don't actually know how to change settings from StreamYard, if that makes sense. Here's the ad blocker. You use it. Or use it, you will get no ads. Says coding. Okay. So any money made off the channel, of course, is not coming from coding them, we have just learned. 150 up, says Kevin. Yep, 150 on the board to close out the 16th over. Now, they did manage to get 14 runs off that over of Spencer Johnson. That still hasn't taken their run rate up over the 10 mark. These last 4 overs, if they can get 15 off all of them, that is bold. But if they can get somewhere near that, that would bring them up to 210. Now, my original prediction was 196. I'm liking the fact that Rutherford is starting to go after the ball a lot more. We've got a new member on the channel. Well, a new familiar member in there from Pads Ablaze. Don't worry, I'm still going to watch the streams. Says BRB. Without it, ads come every 5 minutes. Says coding. And also West Indies will go hard on this last 4 overs. And new, well, like I said, new but returning. 1 over remaining for Hardy. Also Bendorf, Johnson and Zampa all have 1 left. Now Maxwell could bowl if they want to try and use him. But instead I think they would much prefer just go with their 5 bowling options. Hardy pitches a ball up. Beautifully hit through the gap for Rutherford. He's now starting to speed up. And that is another 4 runs. He's OG, says Blues Nate. Like I said, Rutherford not perfectly timing that one through cover, but he's got enough of it to be able to pierce the gap. And yeah, very nicely placed for Rutherford. Hardy thought he had a man there, but he did not. Off near the toe end. Rutherford intentionally or unintentionally consuming all the bats, or all the balls not good for the West Indies. Do you make money from YouTube ads or only sponsorship? Says Nissan. We probably haven't had a sponsor in like a good 2 years or so on the channel. So, YouTube ads. It's a little bit too full from Hardy, but it is going to be a dot ball, probably getting away with that one. Call for the cover drive. Stairs, Kevin. Do baby wipes work on adults? I'd assume so. And plus members and super chats. That says Bats. That is true. Now Hardy. He's gone for 4 and then a dot. And that looks like it could be another 4 with how well Rutherford has struck that ball. Tim David does not cut it off. That'll be another boundary. Really speeding up now, Rutherford. And I feel like he had to because he has used quite a few deliveries. Like I've said, he was only a runner ball. Then he hit 2 back-to-back boundaries. In fact, 2 back-to-back sixes. Alongside that, Tim David actually made the ground quite well, but just slapping it straight into his arm. How much is the membership? I think it's $5 New Zealand per month. You'll get access to exclusive emojis and the chat, such as this one of my face. Up in the top corner, you got the crying one, you got the Kieran one. We've also got a Christmas one, which we are a little way away. Halloween. All the good stuff. And there as well. And $5 New Zealand, why no sponsor? You're approaching almost 50,000 subscribers and so much watching. Says coding. Just not something that sponsors are interested in sponsoring, I guess you could say. Score's taken so long to change. Says Kevin. One moment. There we go. Should go now. Yep. 48 for Rutherford. He has actually progressed very well. Just a little last while. Already 10 runs off this Hardy over. 2 balls remaining. And that's off the outside edge. It beats Zampa. And that'll bring up the 50 for Rutherford. 52 off 33. He is celebrating that one big. His first ever T20 50. It's a celebration from Russell. And don't get me wrong. Russell will be happy for this young man, but he'll also be gutted that he's not getting any strike. Although Rutherford's, his scoring rate at the moment is 158 for the strike rate, whereas Russell is sitting there at 168. So he is still progressing this this T20 well lately. Another one. One-handed drive, well fielded by Mitchell Marsh. And that'll be the end of the over. Rutherford retains the strike as he is praying for the Rutherford wicket. Do you remember my old name? I should. We're talking to... Oh. It was... Did it have Paddy in it at one point? I feel like there's been a couple name changes of the familiars. I remember back in the day when David was I Am David. I feel like you guys, or the David with some numbers as well there. One moment I'm about to sneeze. We are good. I should mention I'm not a fan of Australia. And yep, says Beds are there. And also we have their good innings, although slow start. Congratulations, Shefane. West Indies on the Windies actually are favourites now. Oh, Paddy Wagon, wasn't it? That's gone big. And it's another 6 for Rutherford. He is now working his way towards the 100. And, I mean, Russell, don't get me wrong, he'll be disappointed not to have the strike, but at least Rutherford is now striking the ball well and starting to really ramp it up. Finally got it. It took a little while for the brain to kick in. How do you pronounce elephant? How I said it. That's a good shot straight down the tunnel for Rutherford. How are they going to get this man out? Because he actually has potential of getting towards that 100. And Bendorf, he's been bowling so well. 1 for 17. How many runs is it going to cost him here? Anything under 35, I think, would be a bonus, which would be another 12 runs. But now Rutherford launches that one over the top. That is another 4 runs. This is some brilliant batting from the youngster. Taken all the strike. Russell hasn't faced a ball in about 4 overs, it feels like. I like this guy batting. If they continue like this, we'll make 250, says Patrick. I think that definitely 200 is the good first goal, but 210 could definitely be on the cards. Because you say 7 like Kevin. Good Yorker. Hit to the leg side for Rutherford. I think they'll get back for 2. Yes, they do. Good runner between the wickets. Not too comfy, just focused. 223. Partnership now 98 between these two. And the last 21 balls, Rutherford scored a majority of the runs, but there's been 47 runs, I believe it was. I can see from Russell body language he is not happy, says Coding, although according to you it's probably because of his haircut. I know that you're not a fan of it, although I'm sure he is. Now they'll just take the single this time. I get Tim David a bowl. So here's Nissan. And the souls of Russell and Rutherford have been exchanged, I think. And partnerships, says Blues next. I believe that now moves it to 99, if I'm correct. 75 metres for Rutherford. So he's just targeting the right boundaries. If he had hit that shot square of the wicket, it probably wouldn't have gone all the way. Now Andre Russell. I like frosted tips. Says BRB. Squeezing it through. Gets the single for Russell. Took him a little while to get through. Now Bendorf to get out of his bowling spell with only 14 off this over. Remember my prediction of 214? Says Shashank, certainly do. But Russell at the moment, I'll be honest, it looks like his body, or at least his legs anyway, it seemed like they kind of seized up a little bit there when he was trying to run through. It didn't look like he was moving too freely when he was trying to get that single. Great ball from Bendorf. Gets out of the over. Going for 14, and that will be the end of the 18th now. 179 for 5. And Century Partnership, congrats, says Kevin. I just showing the wickets that the West Indies lost early. It looked like it was going to cost them and could have been a short day at the office, but they kept on going, kept on firing, and now they find themselves here. Minimum score of this pitch, I should be around 215, says Coding. Well, we will go like this. So 100 balls, 100 runs off 57 balls. A minimum score for this pitch should be around 215, says Coding. Adam Zampa, right. This is a very important 6 deliveries for Adam Zampa, because a little bit similar to Xavier Bartlett, this is the difference between ramping up to a massive total off you. Andre Russell swats it down the ground, and he's hit it for 6 there, Andre Russell. This is brilliant work from the West Indies, and for the first time in this innings, I believe they have increased to more than that 10 per over mark. And best batsman always into middles of the packs. With a Maxwell, you never know what's a good score, says BRB. Exactly right, but at least 200. If they can get there, they've done it in all of their games. And how much do you think will be scored in the next 2 overs? Mine 36. I think that 36 probably not a bad shout. Big swing from Russell, but no connection. You've got to put the ball outside of off stump. That is the main. We'll go like this. Drag down. And that almost is a freebie. Oh, it's a drop catch for Tim David. Fortunately, it's gone through his hands. And that could have been the chance to get rid of Andre Russ, but they did not take it. And cheers, Bads. Hope you're well too, mate. Says Nuzzy Williams. It doesn't time it. And then Tim David running round. Made the ground and couldn't end up cleaning it up for Tim David. And it's a drop catch. And the thing that makes it worse is it's 4 runs. Zampa will be disappointed. Could have picked up Russell for the second time of the series. How many extra runs is that going to cost the Aussies? It's already cost them 6 down the ground. Adam Zampa will not be happy with Tim David here. What does that do to the odds? So, the percentages at the moment, the way that it sits, ladies and gentlemen, like they've just said, it's already cost 10 runs with that drop, but 57% likely the West Indies are to be able to win. Russell has hit another 6 here. I would not be happy if I'm Zampa because his figures are now going big, and Russell has now managed to bring up the 200 for the Windies as well as his own 55 of 25 deliveries. He's not Chase, replaced him. Says Lydian. Yeah, Hope missed out in this one and they had a bit of a reshuffle. Another big shot down the ground. Another 6 runs for Andre Russell. Zampa goes for 65. Could have had the wicket, but Tim David has now just cost Adam Zampa 22 runs. And that is now 207. Russell's realised that he wasn't getting much of the strikes, and now he's going to make the absolute most of it. I've taken around 400 rupees on the West Indies. When they were 5 down, it's doable, or it's double. Says Shashank, and Russell destroyed Zampa. That's the Russell I wanted. I am so happy. Says Coding. And it's raining 6, says BRB. But yeah, the drop catch from Tim David. 22 more runs. And Andre Russell has gone for it here. Bringing it up to 207. This is going to get West Indies to what could end up being a defendable total. Still only 5 down. Socks plus sock equals 6s. And 666 is all I'm hearing. Says Babaliko. So hopefully it's made it a little bit more enjoyable for yourself, Babaliko. I know earlier on you mentioned how it was in the middle of your night and you weren't happy with the way they're playing. Hopefully the fact that they got over the 200 here is going to make it worth staying up for. It's going to be the single taken by Rutherford. He's done all he needed to. That's payback. Zampa destroyed him in the last game. Says Kevin Simpson. And the first. He actually got him second ball. It was very foolish captaincy, by the way. Yes, he trapped him. It's always dangerous to have a spinner in front of Russell, but at some stage they had to. Unfortunately for them. They ran out of pace bowlers. They have, of course, Johnson here. But other than that, they could have gone Mitch Marsh, but he isn't bowled, and he's also opening the batting. So they wouldn't have gone with him. Their only other options were Maxwell or Tim David, who are both spinners. Spencer Johnson, another big shot from Andre Russell, has lobbed it over Tim David and gets it away for the 4 runs. Well, I will be in it. Oh, it'll be enough for Australia. I don't think so. Says Babaliko. They have Hardy. Hardy's bowled out. He's at his 4 overs. They can give him to Hardy. Hardy has bowled 4, I believe. Just have a quick look. Yep, Aaron Hardy, 4 overs bowled, 36 runs for the 1 wicket. Why not Bendorf? Bendorf has also bowled out. He has bowled his 4 overs already. So no matter what, they had to bowl a spinner to him unless they bowl Mitch Marsh. Aussie bowlers reset. Says Blues Nate. Now Spencer Johnson. He's still got Andre Russell on strike. What was the score for the first 5 wickets? They were on around 100. Oh, that's gone big. Again for Andre Russell. He has got the distance. Maxwell wasn't able to keep it in the field of play. That is another 6 there for Andre Russell. He moves to 71. He's overtaken Rutherford now. West Indies may be strong contenders for the upcoming World Cup. says Neutrino, only if they're batting first by the looks of it. That's some big shots from Andre Russell. And Maxwell just trying to flick it back in while in the air. Australia's active good bowlers in depth. That's very shocking news, by the way. Says Shashank, 3 balls left. Another big one. Or has he got it? No, he hasn't. Maxwell takes the catch. And they will get rid of Andre Russell, who gets a loud round of applause from the crowd. 71 of 29 deliveries. Over 100-run partnership between these two. Also, they would have crossed, I believe, which would mean that Rutherford should be on strike. Unless, of course, we saw Andre Russell just sitting on his bat. And now who comes Holder or other batter? I think it doesn't really matter a huge amount. Definitely if Rutherford's going to be on strike. It looks like Romario Shepherd will make his way to the middle here. And Shepherd says, Lydians. And good going, Superman. At 214, remember my prediction. Says Shashank in great innings, says BRB. The crowd absolutely loving what they were witnessing there for Andre Russell. New Zealand will win, says Sullivan. And West Indies might be the strong contenders in the World Cup, says Neutrino. Here's Romario Shepherd. They didn't actually cross. That was probably poorly done by Andre Russell. That's a good shot from Romario Shepherd. Straight away getting out in the deep to Tim David. They'll take the 2 runs. They move up to 219 now, or 220 in fact. Not that rule has changed. New batter will be on strike, irrespective of whether batter crossed or not. Oh, I thought that was only at the lower levels that they changed that rule. Because I know for us we do play at that, don't cross strike. So I didn't realise it was actually the international ruling as well. But Romario Shepherd getting the 2 runs off the 1 ball. Keep smashing, lads, says the Blues Nate. And West Indies might be strong contenders in the World Cup. New Zealand will win, says Sullivan. Hang on. The third umpire's checking something here. It's completely fine. Not sure who appealed for the Australians. They just wanted to make sure that it was grounded at the non-striker's end. Here comes Spencer Johnson. Last ball of the innings. And it is a dot. Although they'll get the single. No, they don't. Then they didn't run it. So 220 will be the total that the West Indies finish with. A very good innings from Andre Russell as well as Rutherford to bring it up to 67 of 40 deliveries. And New Zealand always jokes in the playoffs just like India, says BRB. What a recovery from the West Indies here. We've got to remember at one point in their innings, they were 3 for 17. Different. And the odds. Whoops, almost dropped my phone. But the West Indies, they are 66% likely. Yep, 66% likely to go on to win this series. Or sorry, not the series, but this match in particular. This ground is small and flat pitch also, says Cody. I wouldn't guarantee a small ground, to be honest. Like, there's small areas on the ground, just like always, but the square of the wicket boundaries are bigger than any other that we have seen in this series. We see 80 metres on one side, 74 metres on the other. Like, I don't think you can discredit what the West Indies have been able to do in this innings by saying, oh, the ground's small. I think that this has been a very well-constructed West Indies performance after the early wickets have fallen. And score is not updated. No, it is. It's 220. And guys, we haven't hit... guys, why haven't we hit the like button? We had 29 likes for 413 people, so anyone who is new, be sure, of course, to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It could come back, but is it enough? Says BRB. And Australia have good batting, so let's see, says Babalika. And what a recovery from the West Indies. And 6 for 220, says Blues Nate. And there as well, Russell probably eats horses for breakfast. Says BRB, and 110 in 11 overs, and then 110 in 9 overs all out to Rutherford and Russell. What's your prediction? Can Aussie chase? I mean, it's going to be very intriguing to see how they go. Their power play, we might actually see Australia get off to a better start because they have got Mitchell Marsh and David Warner. But if West Indies can take a couple early wickets, that changes quite a bit. Yeah, over 66 or 66% exactly for the West Indies to go on to win this one. I'm just checking to see who is expected to get the most runs for the Australians. And Glenn Maxwell, he is right up there. And that's probably understandable, seeing as he got his 100 in the last innings. The score is chaseable for the Aussies. No chances for Bancroft. Says BRB and smart bowling by the West Indies bowlers and getting batters to hit to the big part of the ground. West Indies game. Says Kevin Simpson. And they need to take wickets of Warner and Maxwell cheaply, says Shashank. And there, and we cannot underestimate, of course, the other men in the top of the order. Mitchell Marsh going to be opening the batting. Aaron Hardy at 3 is an interesting choice. I'm curious to see how quickly he will be able to progress this game forward. They've got Inglis at 4. And then, of course, Maxwell comes in as the number 5. So there's a little bit of time until we get to see Glenn Maxwell. But West Indies, their power play, I believe they got 55 or 59 runs throughout that power play. And they had lost the 3 wickets. Roston Chase bringing it back quite nicely alongside Rovman Powell to get a 50-run partnership. But the biggest partnership, of course, going with Rutherford as well as the big man, Andre Russell. West Indies needs Shamar Joseph. I mean, yes, but they'll know for the future, won't they? They've still got capable bowlers in this lineup, and they should be relatively fresh. We've got to remember, in the other games, the bowlers have had to bowl out their overs, and then they've had to go in and try and score the winning runs. I mean, Rutherford batted extremely well. Russell batted well, so I don't think they'll bowl him too much, but I think he'll still be expected to bowl his 4 overs, unless, of course, they give a bit to Kyle Mayers. Might be another bowling option for the West Indies. And Warner is not captain in the series because of his past, says Coding. And there as well. And also Mitch Marsh just has the capabilities of being the skipper of this team. Yeah, they were 3 for 17 off 2.5 overs. Then the next wicket to fall was Roston Chase in the 7.5th over. Another wicket falling very closely after 8.4 overs was when they were 5 down. And the next time they lost a wicket was actually with 2 balls remaining in the innings. All right, I'll be back for the chase. I need to go do something, says Padza. And there as well, but the pick of the bowlers for the Australians, it was actually Jason Bendorf, the economy of 7.75. He had an expensive last over, going for the 14 runs, but did pick up the wicket. In fact, every single Australian bowler managed to get themselves at least the 1 wicket. The exception to the rule was Xavier Bartlett, who managed to get himself the 2 wickets with an economy of 9.25. But the most expensive was Adam Zampa, going for 16.25 per over. He had the chance to get Russell out. Tim David dropped the catch. And from there, it cost Zampa another 22 runs off 4 balls. So those figures could have looked very different. Well, we will go like this. And it was Odd Smith did captain, but Warner didn't got opportunity to captain. Well, the thing with Smith is, I know test match-wise he's not allowed to captain, but there was the exception of the rule that he can be vice-captain, and then if Cummins is unavailable, then Smith gets to captain the Aussie side. So that happened when Cummins tested positive. I think it was 2 years ago, or maybe a year ago. So, yeah, he got to be captain in that regard. But in the ODIs, yeah, Steve Smith has been given the captaincy nod. But in this format, Mitch Marsh, of course, the man who will be in charge here. And I think that for Australia, the power play, with the fact that they need 221, that straight away means that they need 11 runs per over. So power play, theoretically, 66 is the absolute minimum you can have after your power play. Anything over 70 is a massive bonus, but anything over 80 will put them in the box seat to go on and win this match. The fact that they could score 80 in their power play and still require 10 and over from there shows you how high the West Indies total ended up being. But they were 3 for 17, the West Indies. They lost their top guys, but then they went in and dug deep, got to the decent total. Why do you think digital currency has taken over? I honestly couldn't tell you. I think that everyone is obsessed with online stuff, like their phones and everything. So it makes more sense that like things that are online, people are going to go for now. Same with like why, YouTube's so popular while TikTok is doing extremely well is because everyone wants to go on their devices or go on their phones and whatnot. I'll be honest, I'm like, aside from live streams, I don't really go on my phone that much, which is why I don't think we have many social media things for the Kiwi lads, just because I don't really enjoy social media, like the Instagram side of things and Twitter, or X now, as it's called. Just showing the early wickets that the Australians got. Little did they know that they were going to end up in the scenario of chasing over 200 runs. Roston Chase, he did pretty well for his innings, 37 runs of 20 balls. Powell was working along quite nicely, 21 off the 14, and then they had to wait for a long time. Just people, this modern era, very lazy. They don't need to use cash, says coding. Well, it's more of a conveniency thing. I wouldn't so much say it's laziness. It's just more like if you can go beep and it's done, rather than, just get me 10-cent pieces out. Like, it's just more convenient. It's the good old days, says a BRB. The partnership of Rutherford and Russell was 139 runs of 67 deliveries. That is a partnership that some would say maybe changes this match completely and could actually be the difference maker. Now, the top run scorer, I said about Glenn Maxwell being quite far up there. David Warner and Mitchell Marsh are actually the next two men, in fact, the two favourites to be able to score the most runs throughout this chase. Interesting. Also, I should mention that over 10.5 runs is actually not looking impossible in this first over for the Australians, according to the betting odds. And the highest opening partnership, Australia are heavy favourites in that regard. I'm going to see what else I can find in terms of fun stats. Mitch Marsh to score a 50. He is just a little bit less likely to do so than David Warner. How long is the break? It's about a 15-minute break normally, but I don't think we'll be too far away from the start of the second innings, maybe about 5 minutes or so before they get back out onto the field and ready to go. It's like Gale 69 balls, 175, says Kevin. And there as well, but the Australians will require 221 runs to be able to go on to win this one. That middle order for Aussie, it's an interesting one because you've got Maxwell, then it goes straight into Tim David, then Matthew Wade, couple Hobart Hurricanes boys. And it's one of those interesting situations that this top order for Australia normally have to get the job done, with the exception of one of the matches. I believe it was the second ODI. We saw Sean Abbott, one of the standout players who has the best strike rate on the Aussie side. That shouldn't even have to be a question. Glenn Maxwell is, of course, right up there. In terms of batting for a decent amount of time as well. Like a few of the other guys, the likes of a Tim David can have quite a high strike rate as well, but he hasn't got that experience that Maxwell has. So in overall, like long format, in terms of the amount of games he's played, Glenn Maxwell definitely gets that average that little bit more. What does the score says, Paul? So the West Indies, they did end up with 220 after their 20 overs, and we are just waiting for the second innings to start up here. Australia will be requiring 221 to be able to go on and win this match. Why can't you use AI video editors? You can simply simplify your tasks for repetitive video editing. Save time, says Coding. I much prefer doing it myself. Like, I would rather lose a couple hours sleep for the sake of having my own personal touch on a video than having a computer edit it for me. And like, yes, it's probably the wrong mindset. I should be embracing the fact that you can get things to edit everything for you. But like, for me, I would much rather do it myself, just because then I don't feel like I've lost that connection, if that makes sense. And I have no problem with people who use video editors that are all not them. And also same with hiring an editor. That is another option that a lot of people go down. But for me, like, I would rather be able to say that I did it rather than a computer did it. Do you guys think Aussie can still win this? I think that it's definitely going to be the power play that helps determine this. Now, the thing is though, the West Indies did not have a huge amount of runs off their power play, yet they still managed 220. But I think that if Australia are 80 plus in their power play, they'll be a long way towards where they need to be. And thank you, good job, says Paul Griffiths. Thank you very much, mate. Should mention anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 46,000 subscribers at the moment. If you do want to help us get there. I heard the new Tesla robot actually attacked someone, says BRB. Well, that will be a bit of a mistake. And what's a power play? The first 6 overs where you can only have 2 fielders outside of the ring. So pretty much that is your best chance as a batsman to be able to find gaps in the outfield and score a lot of runs. So outside of the power play, they're allowed 5. But during the power play, you're only allowed 2 outside of the 30-yard circle. So a lot of gaps to be able to hit the ball in the air, but then that comes at a risk. Look at that risk and reward factor. Will hitting the ball over the top, if I miss time it, will it get me out? Thank you for the broadcast. I'm listening from South Florida, says Capel Golding. And there as well. West Indies will win this one, says Patrick Davey. I have to say that they have played this one a lot better than they did in the third ODI. Because in that one we saw Australia win the match in 41 balls. Heard online due to ChatGPT and AI, future people will lose a lot of jobs. The machines will do the majority of things. Do you agree? Yep. It's one of those ones that, unfortunately, like, it's already started as well in terms of people losing their jobs to robots and whatnot, which always sounds really weird to say, but it's true. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. I feel like there's a whole big world that you could go into it of, but I don't have enough information on it. But yeah, I still like the personal touch. That's why I enjoy these live streams. Like, I could easily have a scoreboard sitting here updating and not say anything. Just have the scoreboard. I sit back, relax, could watch the game, could do something else during the game, and then I end it at the end of the stream. But that's just not what we started YouTube for, and that's also not what I want to do. The only time that we've had a scoreboard when I haven't been on the screen is only when I literally am either out of the house or am unavailable for a short amount of time during the match. That's Spirit Lad. And come on, the Aussies, complete the treble, says Reggie Rock. Where can we watch the match? Depending on whereabouts you are in the world will depend on what options you've got. And just like Dusty Rhodes said, hey, guess what? A computer took your place. They're trying to extinct the human race, says Kevin Simpson. And there as well. But yeah, if you're in Australia, I think it's on 9, if I'm correct, or I know it's on Fox Cricket anyway. But I'm not sure about free-to-air options. Second innings must be very close. This one to get underway. I think Australia can win this. They had 241 last time, says Reggie Rock. They certainly did. A lot of sixes coming for the West Indies throughout their innings. I should mention we saw a total of 14 sixes for the Windies. So that is, I think, the most that we have seen throughout an innings throughout this series. Robots can't ever replace human touch and emotions, says Coding, although they can try their best, of course. We have got their hi, just home from work. What have I missed? Hope West Indies have been doing well. So they started off losing quite a few wickets, but then they've gone on to make their biggest total in this T20 series, and they're in a good position. I'd like to think being able to go on and possibly win this game. I don't want to jinx them though, but I think that they're in a very good spot, and I've gone further than they have in some of their other matches already, and 6 is the way to go, says Elidians, and sadly the matches aren't on free-to-air in Australia, which makes no sense to me. To be honest, how many in the last 4 overs roughly of the 6s? I think they probably had about, I'd almost say 7 in the last 4 overs. Because we saw 3 from Russell after he got dropped, and we saw at least 2 from Rutherford, if not 3. And then Russell got another 2, I think, in the next one. So yeah, around that 7 or so. Australia will win in the last over, says Coding. Australia should have bowled better, says Origi. That's good. Surely wickets fall fast in this next bit. But the thing is, even if they do fall fast, it does not mean the end of the match. Because the West Indies were 3 down for 17 runs. And they went on to get this total. The only way for the West Indies to really feel confident that they've won this game, they have to make sure they bowl out the Australians. Yeah, that was mad lad. Says Naz Williams, but it will be David Warner alongside Mitchell Marsh, 2 men who have played across all 3 formats for the Australians in the past. Warner recently bringing up his 100th T20, getting himself the 70 from that innings. Why is my name green? Oh, that will mean that you have been gifted a membership from someone. So sometimes randomly people will gift 5 memberships. They don't actually get to choose who gets it, but yeah, 5 people are randomly selected and they end up with that membership. So you will now have access to emojis and all sorts, including one of my face, which is very outdated. But it's got my face, got George's face, a cat emoji. We've got some Christmas and Halloween ones in there as well. So yeah, that is why you are now a Kiwi Lads member. Target of 221 for the Australians. Where can we watch this in Australia? By the sounds of it, it's not free to air, so it would have to be through paid subscriptions, such as Fox Cricket. I believe they're a paid subscription. Mitch Marsh, the local man, the first captain for Australia from Western Australia in a T20 since, I believe it was Gilchrist back in the day. KO or Fox, says Nissan GTR, for where you can watch these games in Australia. Oh, this should be free to air. I agree. I wasn't even on the stream though, says Simran. Sometimes if they're... See, that's the thing. It was, I think, a while ago. I think it was on maybe either the cricket one or on the Six Nations one, but it normally picks the people who are most active in the chat and gives them the membership, if that makes sense. If you search hard enough online, be able to find a free site, says Mike. I would just recommend not getting a virus from doing so. But David Warner, best is 100 not out, and he is 14 runs away from bringing up his 3,000th T20 international run. Looks like Alzari Joseph will be the first West Indian bowler. Online won't be in real time, says Reggie Rock. Yeah, unfortunately there aren't too many options for real time unless you are paying a subscription fee. Like for me, even in New Zealand, I've got a subscription for Sky, but I still get about a 30 or 40 second delay from live. Alzari Joseph looks like a relatively full leg side field. Got a third man in play, the deep third man that is. So that is one of the 2 fielders that they are allowed outside of the ring. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1 is the countdown that they've got. I'm looking round. Deep backward square leg as the other man. It was a long shift of work. I had to deal with sexist men. But I'm hoping the Windies win, so have a great night. I hope you're doing well. That's why it should be on live TV. Oh yeah, peach of a delivery from Alzari Joseph. Started extremely well. Getting that one to move away slightly. There was a swing on offer early for Xavier Bartlett in his innings to Johnson Charles. If any side can catch that total, as these fellas from across the ditch, says Naz Williams. And wickets come off in lads. 146 kilometres per hour for Alzari Joseph there. Marsh on strike. We know how much power he has. Oh yeah, he's missed that one though. Doesn't matter how much power you got if you can't connect bat and ball. Congratulations, Simran. An advance for the West Indies victory, says AB. But every dot ball is massive here for the Australians. Oh, sorry, for the West Indies. So now, as you're saying, Australia can catch the total, says Reggie Rock. Right, the deep backwards square leg. They have only got a mid-on, though, which means all of mid-wicket is open for Mitchell Marsh. And that's one of the gaps on the field that he loves hitting to the most. Alzarri Joseph, 2 straight. That'll be 4 runs. Unfortunately, you cannot afford to have no men on that leg side in that gap if you're going to bowl straight to Mitchell Marsh. I don't speak too soon. Says someone, but that will be the first boundary of the day. I'm a very good astrologer, trust me, says AB. That'll be 4 runs now. Bang for Mitchell Marsh, getting to open the batting here. Doing a bit of a Steve Smith, promoted up the order for this match, having Josh Inglis at 4. I believe that is so that he can possibly become the wicketkeeper for the T20 World Cup. They might feel like they don't need Matthew Wade. That has worked down to deep third man. Single taken Andre Russell. He's fielding down there, so perhaps will be the next man who does end up having a bowl. He was expensive in the last match. Marsh can do anything. He is the captain, says Coding, and I hope not Reggie. But I'm saying it wouldn't surprise me if Oz did go to Windies, says Naz Williams. And in terms of the odds, we do see that Australia do come in as underdogs now at this stage of the contest. The longer that these two are out there and the opening partnership stand, though, the more chance the Australians will have. Still about 65% in favour of the West Indies. Oh, that was swinging nicely. Everyone was interested in it except for Alzarri Joseph. Warner will get away with the leg by off the second last ball. Why Josh Inglis not opening today? Says Cody. I believe it is something to do with the fact that I think they want him to be a wicket-keeper batsman. And for some reason they've decided to try and make a few adjustments. There's actually the inside edge for Warner, which does mean that he will get off the mark. But yeah, I think that it's because they're trying to sort it out in terms of what the order could be going into the T20 World Cup. And to be honest, I don't think they need Matthew Wade in the team. I think that they're much better off either going with another genuine batsman or going with another bowling option. Perhaps that is Marcus Stoinis in the middle order. Yeah, some nice shape there. AB Nice, I'm from Delhi. And come on, early wickets and by at least 6 runs, says Reggie Rock. They're tied over there from Alzarri Joseph, just the 6 runs off it. I mentioned Australia probably want around that 75 to 80 mark to be able to really work their way towards this total. But for now, only the 6 runs coming, and Jason Holder will be the man who bowls the second over. Now, this is the first time that we have seen Jason Holder not have to bat in a game since returning into this T20 side. Been to India twice, says AB. He's going to be bowling to David Warner, who has been susceptible to the slower delivery throughout these matches so far. Australia $2.90 underdogs now, ladies and gents. Giving himself space, David Warner, but does not connect with the shot. So he's going to look to be aggressive early on here. Been to India twice, says AB. Trying to give himself a bit of space. Holder has a record of taking 4 wickets and 4 balls, similar to Malinga. Says Coding. He's just talking about the tactics of Warner. He's going to keep on stepping to leg, similar to what we saw for Rovman Powell. Nah, he just stands and delivers there, beautifully pulled away, and that'll be 4 runs for David Warner. Just watches the ball onto the bat, flicks it around. Watching extremely closely and then pulls it away. It was at about chest height for David Warner, so it wasn't too startling for him. Is it a 3-match series? Says AB, it is indeed. So this is the 3rd and final match of the series. Reverse hit attempted from David Warner. He's ended up missing it now. He played that shot in his first innings, his second innings of the series, and actually ended up missing it. Or he played it in the second and got a 6 is what I meant to say. You bullies, works. Lucky I wasn't working there. Knock him out. Shh. Says his name. Like the commentators have said, you are allowed to just take a single if you need it. Pitched up on the leg side. Another dot ball for Jason Holder, keeping it tight so far throughout this over. And the West Indies, a boundary and over isn't going to hurt them at this stage of the match. If anything, that's just going to continue to keep on ramping it up that little bit more. Got the 2 men deep on the leg side. Offside's open if David Warner can get it through a gap or can loft it over the field. And that is another dot ball from Holder. Bit of swing across the body of Warner. I think he's got a little bit of a way swing there, Jason Holder. Normally does get it to go the other way. That's why Warner was ready to hit that one down the ground. I've seen David Warner trying about 3 or 4 different shots. None of them really coming off for Warner as of yet. Last ball of the over now, though. Jason Holder, where does he bowl it? It is pitched up. It was down in the slot. It's hit down the ground. Misfield there from Andre Russell. Don't think it cost them an extra run. They're like 10 out of 40 of them have been rude and sexist. Got worse the more they drink. But I appreciate the sport. Says Simran there. Just a little bit of swing on offer for Jason Holder. Normally brings it back in off the seam. He did that for about 4 of the deliveries, then went with the one that went across David Warner, which did throw him off. Now back on strike, Warner. Sitting on 6 off 7. Joseph sitting on just the 6 runs of his first over. Can they keep it tight here, the Windies? Well bowled, but well played from David Warner. Picked up the length early. Using the full face of the bat to smack it back past Alzadi Joseph and gets the 4 runs. That'll be a confidence builder for David Warner. I said just giving him that opportunity to be able to free the arms. And the umpire, he was nervous for a second, but luckily for him, it did end up missing him in the end. Australia moving up to 15. Warner answer back with another boundary at his leg side. It's hit him on the pad. And it's happened about 4 times now in this innings already. They have targeted that leg stump of Warner and he hasn't been able to flick it off to the leg side. Get at least a single. Looks like Chase-Powell and Russell just having a bit of a chat to of the important figures in this side. Andre Russell, bit of extra padding on those fingers. And can we play him with South Africa B team or what? It's ridiculous how South Africa killing Test cricket. Says AB. Well, it's interesting because South Africa have never lost. Oh, that's up over the top of the slip cordon. And Warner will get himself another 4 runs. And you take them any way you can get them at the moment. If you are Australia, as long as that ball makes it to the boundary, the most important part. But yeah, like New Zealand have never won a Test series up against South Africa. And it's a little bit unfortunate that if they win this series, people are going to say, oh, it's because they were versing an inexperienced side. But like at the end of the day, that's the team that South Africa sent. And it's still their international side that would be beaten. But saying that, they're not doing too badly at the moment in terms of like 220-ish for 6. It's not great, but it's not bad. I thought New Zealand would give some rest to players, but they didn't. That's because they want to win the series. Like I mentioned, it's a history type thing for New Zealand. No way Aussies win. Says Kevin. And needs a whole rugby league clubs. But yeah, I hear you. Big love. Says the Blues, Nate. No coding and supporting Aussies too. Today West Indies will win. And I feel betrayed. Although he did say that the West Indies will win. Even though he's supporting Australia. That's going to be no run for Mitchell Marsh. Problem that you've got with Marsh, though, is he can face a few balls, he can have a few dots, but all of a sudden he goes bang, changes that mindset, and he hits a lot of boundaries in quick succession. And Aussie, oi, oi, oi. Says in this in GTR. They're saying could have been a quick single if they really wanted it. 9 runs off the Alzari Joseph over so far. 1 ball remaining. Marsh hits it to the leg side, over the top. Oh, it's 6 runs. Extremely flat 6 for Mitchell Marsh. And some run, Australia. Come on, dear, I love Sydney. Says AB. There as well, but that is going to be the end of the third over. A good way to finish it for the Australians. Their run rate was struggling a little bit. It is still struggling, only 8.67. But that 6 takes that little bit of pressure off. Times it very well. Mitchell Marsh. Bat catches up with the ball. Australia actually ahead by quite a substantial window, only after 3 overs. The West Indies were 3 for 17, whereas Australia, they are currently ahead by the 9 runs. They need a big finish to the power play. Looks like, oh, Andre Russell coming in. This is either a make or break here for the Windies. He did very well with the bat in hand, but last game he was extremely expensive with his bowling. Definitely in that last over when Maxwell hit him for a total of 25. Warner and Marsh both have that ability of doing that here. And the power play, that's gone high from Warner. Once again, a top edge, and it's gone all the way for 6. That is now 10 runs that Warner has hit behind him without timing a single thing. Russell's disappointed. I don't think there's too much that they can say about that one other than he got lucky again. It's okay, I guess. There's some run. And there. Yeah, top edge from David Warner, 46. Sorry, mate, we're using Indy too. Sorry for your inconveniences, AB. No, it's all good. I think I kind of got most of it, and at the end of the day, you did put afterwards about it. Oh, that's at Warner in the head. That doesn't look good, and this doesn't look like Warner's getting up too quickly from that one. He's undoing the gloves, and Russell's yellow shoes colouring matches the jersey. Same thing Ferguson does. Okay, I think this has hit Warner on the chin. Oh, it has. So it's actually ended up hitting him on the arm and then gone up under the grill. There is no connection with the helmet there for David Warner. It's hit him on the chest and then has come up and hit him right there. So this might actually be a bit more serious for David Warner than some of the other hits that we have seen. Hits him on the shoulder and then comes up and hits him right on the jaw. An ugly one for David Warner. Russell goes down to him and checks on him. It looks like they're just doing a bit of a quiz. I guess very sorry for the Hindi. Says right, no, it's completely fine. They're touching David Warner's chin. That will hurt. Like the physio's just going, I'm just going to squeeze this. He's just been hit in the face with a cricket ball. It's probably quite painful. That's painful, says Coding. Okay, it looks like Warner being asked whether or not he's all right to continue. Yeah, that's quite a ugly one for Warner because luckily it's hit that shoulder rather than going straight up and hitting the chin, or else it could have been a lot worse from there. But even with it hitting the shoulder, like that's taken maybe 5 Ks off the ball. Will he be retired hurt? I do hope he's okay though. He will continue, says Reggie Rock. Yeah, he looks like he's going to be all right. We saw that one. Johnson Charles getting it in the head. Otherwise, the Hughes came looking at it. I would disagree. I think that it looked very different to the Hughes one. He's a fighter, says Reggie Rock. 8. 4 balls remaining in the over. Looks like he's going to be all right to continue here, David Warner. The sun's also starting to play a little bit of a factor on the ground. His lowest score so far in the series is what he is sitting on currently, 21. His best was 70 in Hobart off 45 balls. Is he going to continue? Going for what would be your last meal? Mine would be chicken wings. I'd probably go pizza, I would say. Pitched up, cut shot away for Warner. That's the best ball that he's timed all day. Beautiful cut shot from Warner for 4. He's a tough guy. Let's rumble. So here's Kevin Simpson. Very nicely placed for David Warner there. Right out of the middle of the bat. Maybe, I know it sounds weird to say, but maybe getting hit. But David Warner has got his eye in now. West Indies need to get some wickets. Says Simran, they certainly do. Need to see the back of Warner and Marsh as quickly as possible. 36 runs for the Australians at this point. The West Indies were not quite as lucky at this stage. South Africa is following the West Indies. Cricket going downwards. Says AB. Now Warner. 2 balls remaining. Like they are saying, run rate is not the issue here. Work to the leg side. I think they'll be able to get back for the 2 runs. No, they just take the 1. Only quite quick between the wickets. David Warner, but I think Mitch Marsh wasn't too happy. It's just the height, Mr. Warner, isn't the ball. Says Blues Note. 97 balls remaining in this innings, which will fly by. Definitely if there are a few dots for the West Indies. Now, every boundary that we see will slowly decrease their required run rate, but every ball that's a dot or a single, their run rate slowly just goes that little bit higher. Looks like they have got 2 men deep on the leg side for Mitch Marsh. One actually had a 45 degree at square leg, and he's not on the rope. That makes me surprised. I would have thought to use this full boundary. Down the ground, straight to the fielder, and that will be the end of the over. It's 37 for none. Yes, AB South African cricket is going down the drain. And now he's a T20 league will happen every year. Every time South Africa will miss some kind of series. Very bad for cricket. So here's Coding, and I think pace off will work on this ground. So here's Kevin, and I think we saw a little bit of that for some of the Australian bowlers. They were making the West Indian players generate more pace. Although saying that, Xavier Bartlett, I think when he tried his slower deliveries, he did get hit for a 6 and a 4, I believe. So they've got to make sure if they're going to try the slow ball, they have to execute it well. David Warner has now managed to bring up the 3,000 test runs. He is only 108 away from beating Aaron Finch for all-time runs for the Australians. He's had 1 less match. He's had a lot less sixes. Now hit in the air. It's through the gap for Warner. The West Indies, they didn't look interested in that one. Both men just looked at each other and went, oh, that's through us. But it's another 4 runs for David Warner, who moves to 30 of 17. They should go behind Holder. He's not a good bowler. Says BRB. I think pace off will work. And also we have got the David Boone, small guy at the crease. Hard to get him out. Says Blues Nate. But Warner, he is on fire at the moment in terms of the runs and the pace that he is scoring them at. Another shot down the ground, another 4 runs for David Warner. He is in an aggressive mindset. And already Australia moved to 45. I mentioned how crucial it was for them to score runs quickly. Fun fact, the rate that they are scoring is still slower than the rate that they require. But if they can get 80 runs from the power play, and that is a big ask, ladies and gentlemen. But if they can, it would mean that they just need that 10 runs per over for the rest of this innings. A no plan looking captain is clueless. Says Coding. Looks like they are making a couple changes now to the field set. The Romario Shepherd, though, 2 back-to-back boundaries of his first 2 deliveries. That's nicely glided by Warner. He wanted the single. He was trying to rotate the strike, but he is told no by Mitchell Marsh. Warner is a machine. Says Changing Lives broadcast, and John told me about your channel. Says BRB. Which John are we talking? We talking American John? Maybe? 34 off 18 deliveries. Another hit down the ground for Warner. He's going to have to run. Does get there though. Good run in between the wickets for Australia. Could have been quite tight. Marsh, he's sitting on 11, American Johnny. So I believe I know which John you're talking about. I guess you guys in America, it's not a great time zone for these matches either, is it? So it is greatly appreciated you're being here. I should mention we are actually hoping to cover the T20 World Cup. I found your channel through a random search on YouTube 3 years ago. Says Coding, and thanks for this coverage, Kiwi. Says Shiva. No worries at all. Anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. 2 balls remaining in the Romario Shepherd over. And Mitch Marsh goes after it. He's got it in to the outfield, but it will just be the single. Cock retire himself for T20 money. He's not even 30. Our cricket will groom or grow in South Africa, I think that is, rather than groom from AB. Now 10 runs off this Romario Shepherd over. He's finished it pretty well. As long as he gets out of this one without a boundary. If he goes for a boundary, it starts to get that little bit more expensive, but without one, means that he is below the required run rate. Great Yorker from Romario Shepherd. 136 Ks. Well defended by David Warner, which coach and would World go on tour with new squad. Coach and World go on tour with the new squad. But South Africa. I'm a bit confused by the question, Helen. Okay, the Windies says Cedric. He's retired from ODI. De Kock will still play in the T20. Time zones are not kind to cricket fans, says BRB. That is true. Unfortunately, like rugby-wise, it's either a nice time for us here in New Zealand or a terrible time, but either way we cover it. For cricket, you can end up either with a nice time or a really rough time. And the worst thing is, if it's test match cricket, it's 6 hours of being a bad time, or 8 hours in some cases. Jason Holder only going for the 5 runs in his first over. Now this is the last over of the power play. Aaron Hardy looks primed and ready to come in at number 3 if needed. And I think he will be needed. I don't think that these two will be able to get all the runs themselves. Hold a little bit too straight. Not timed by Marsh though, so he does get away with a single once more. And I'll be honest, like this change of Marsh at the top of the order, it's one that could backfire for Australia, mainly because Josh Inglis has been known to get off to great starts for the Australians. The fact that they went with Marsh and he's only sitting on 13 off 10. It'll be 9 p.m. in New Zealand. Says Coding, for us at the moment, it is 11:23 p.m. But this game, yeah, it started at 9 p.m. for the T20. And Warner 100 today, says Shiva. He is now going to be on strike to Jason Holder. Bowls it on his pads again. That is where he's been targeting. That is nicely placed by Warner. It should be a safe 2 for them. Yes, it is. Oh, and they thought about the third. Just getting a bit cheeky there, David Warner. Misfield from Hussain, who will still have to come into the bowling attack. We saw Zampa get tonked around the ground. Some of that due to some misfielding from the Australians. Tim David dropping the catch. What I missed, says Philip. Well, the West Indies, they were 3 for 17. Then they went on to get 220 with 250s coming from Russell as well as from Rutherford. And Warner's just gone bang. Dropped to one knee and has swept it all the way for 6. Warner is a problem, says Philip Beckford, and he has now moved up to 43 off 23 deliveries, already 9 off this Jason Holder over. I just realised Warner's only 2 shots away from a half century here. He's only faced 23 balls. So he's going at that strike rate of about 200, but that's not fast enough in this run chase. In fact, no, it is. Never mind. I take that back. It would be just quick enough if Marsh is able to do the same at the other end. Currently, it's considered probably not quick enough because Marsh is sitting on 13 off 10. Australia on 57 runs off the power play at this point. If one opener is having a problem, the other one makes up for him. Says BRB. And true, it wasn't the ball's fault. And Dwayne Bravo was best for the slower ball, well disguised. Great one-hander catch. Just saved a lady from being hit with the ball. Hit down the ground from Marsh, just over the top of Andre Russell. Unfortunately, they have targeted him in the field. He has been the man, or their man in this series, says Phillip, and Marsh is playing like Rutherford. He's been a bit slow starting, but he's just managed to clear Andre Russell. They know that these balls here are the best chance of being able to hit it over the top. Russell, great attempt, but just didn't quite get the aerial effort that he needed for it. And Holder frustrated. He's still smiling though at the same time. I feel like he knows that it was a massive ask for Russell. Just couldn't get off the ground, the big man. Now last ball of the power play. Hit him on the back leg. No run taken. Good close out to the power play for Jason Holder. Australians going at just over that 10. Do you have a website? I do not know. Something that maybe at some stage could be an option, but for me personally, I just don't know how to do a website, so I don't have one. It's probably the best way of describing it. Over the hand of Russell. And still a good power play, says Coding. It is if they didn't need 220. Now, their run rate is good, though. Just over the 10 mark. They didn't allow the West Indies to get on top of them. And the fact that they haven't lost the wickets, that is the key for them. These 2 wickets will be out soon, says Phillip. Now the question is, will Marsh continue trying to hit? Because he has struggled big time. And he hasn't been able to time too much at all. Just showing that David Warner 6. I believe it would have been about 90 and 93 metres for David Warner with a height of 31. So he certainly gave it a bit. Now, will be Hossein. Sorry, I can't stay out this rest of the game, says Phillip. No worries at all. So the power plays, that is Australia's second biggest power play. The second match in Adelaide, they were 2 for 58. And subscribe, says Shiva. Thank you very much. Hugely appreciated. Economy of 7.45 is the average for Akil. If he can do that here, he would be definitely helping his side increase that required run rate up to around maybe 12 or 13, if not maybe 14 after a few overs. But Warner will look to bang early. 84 balls remaining. He's gone down the ground and down the ground for 6. There was no one back there. Have you thought about shaving the beard? Having just the mustache? I have. I've actually done it in the past as well. But yeah, I don't know. I got a wedding coming up that I got to go to, so I probably shouldn't do it yet. Maybe after the wedding we'll go with just the mustache. Yeah, head down the ground, Warner. He saw that there was the opportunity there. They had a wide on rather than a long on. And that is actually the half century. I didn't even realise for David Warner. 50 off only 25 deliveries. Exactly what the Aussies needed from him. He has 100. Was 100 not out. Can he top that here? An Optus oval pitch is small, honestly. As in my screen says, Blues Nate. Seen now. Dragged down. Nicely glided by Warner to the leg side. They will just get the one. They're going to keep attacking. Looks good with mustache. Not good with... Oh, sorry. It looks good with beard. Not good with mustache. Says Coding. In other words, you're saying... To be fair, you were pretty rough on the... I think it was the long hair and the short hair. You said I looked terrible without one of them. And so I feel like that's the same with the mustache, I guess. And David giving the warning. Says, changing lives broadcast. And guess who's back? Says, Padson, welcome back, mate. Now, Mitch Marsh. He's struggled already. That's straight up in the air. That's going to be tricky for him. And it's taken by Jason Holder. Just a rock-on sign to the crowd. But Marsh is gone. The experiment of putting him at the top of the order has backfired. Out, oops, says Nate. I assume you put that maybe before the wicket, I would assume. Am I bad, boss? Says Blues Nate, and dude, mustache is cool. Says BRB. Nicely taken by Jason Holder. Hussain does get the wicket he was after. Marsh gone 17 off 13. That brings Aaron Hardy to the middle. Both mustache and beard looks cool, says Cody. But you're saying just mustache does not look cool, Cody. I think it was just the orthodox one. I told you wickets soon. I got Australia out, says Pads Ablaze. You did. You jinxed them, Paddy. In the best possible way for any West Indies fans. Yeah, taken very nicely, Jason Holder. Aaron Hardy in at 3. This is an experimental Australian lineup that I think could end up backfiring a little bit for them. I did King out cheaply. King was not opening. But the first 3 batsmen out very cheaply. Ramp shot there from Hardy already has found a bit of a gap, but will just get the one. First time someone else jinxed them, says BRB. But yeah, we saw Johnson Charles dismissed in the very first over of the match. We saw Mayers chop the ball on, and we also saw the other opener, that was Mayers, and then the third man, Puran, chased a wide one and got caught behind by Glenn Maxwell. 8 runs off this Hussain over. A little bit quicker. They're going to run it hard here. And they are going to go for it. Good run in between the wickets by Aaron Hardy and David Warner. I never shave in 7 years, says Changing Lives broadcast. And guess who's back? Pedza is back, says Blues Nate. But straight away you can see the intent from the Australians. They were making sure they got theirs Inglis up yet, says BRB. He is not. He is batting number 4 for this match. Yeah, Mitch Marsh opening, Hardy at 3, and then they have got Josh Inglis coming in at 4. So in a whole new scenario, normally he gets off to a flying start because he's batting during the power play. Once again, tapped to the leg side by David Warner. This time they will just take the one. Be the end of the over. 11 off for Hussain, but more importantly, got the wicket of Mitchell Marsh. Currently in the betting odds, ladies and gents, in terms of percentages, West Indies are 61% likely to go on to win this match. Australia $2.55 underdogs as well. Quite a few edges from David Warner early on, but has then worked his way towards 54. In fact, David Warner has got much better with his shots since getting hit in the head with the ball. Including that beautiful shot at the start of Hussain's over. And him straight down the ground for the 6 runs. Another wicket, please, says Philip. Quiet run rate for the Australians is still sitting at the 10.5. Now, the West Indies, after 11 overs, had 110 runs on the board. I also not cut my hair for 1 year. Hard to maintain long hair, to be honest, says Coding. And there, well, someone who does not have to maintain long hair has just come into the bowling attack. Roston Chase, ladies and gents. Now, coming in for the West Indies. Outside off stump, lobbed over the top from David Warner. Bit of a risky shot, but he does just get the single for it. 37 from 20 with the bat in hand, Roston Chase. Now has to try and back it up with some good bowling figures. I'll leave, come back for a wicket, says Pads Ablaze. And there as well. Your picture says otherwise, Coding, says BRB. And blessed morning to all, says Sean. Roston Chase. Aaron Hardy on strike, gets dragged down. And beautifully played by Hardy. That'll be 4 runs. Shivo said wicket in there as well. And no, don't leave, says Nissan GTR. And nicely played by Aaron Hardy. Just strategically waiting. Roston Chase, last time we saw him in the ODIs, he did bowl very short. And unfortunately, if you do drag your line short in this game, I think that's when we're going to see a lot of runs coming for the Australians. Warner 100 today, says Shiva. Once again, short from Roston. Well fielded by, I believe that was the captain, Rodman Powell, getting saved there, Chase. It's an old picture when I was 16, says Coding. Down the ground this time, Aaron Hardy will get the one. I'm still looking for an Australian or New Zealand girlfriend, says Sean. 6 runs at the moment have been scored off this over. Nicely hit through the gap for Warner. Another single, though, to deep backward point. I've been trying to learn German for 3 months, but it's hard, says BRB. I guess it's one of those ones as well. As soon as you get the hang of a new language, it starts to become a lot easier. Amelia Kerr, be ideal girlfriend for you, says Coding. Is that for Sean Anthony, with him looking for an Australian or New Zealand girlfriend? No run taken, Roston Chase. Just going for the 7 runs of his first over. It really looked like he was trying to attack too much, but more just defensive bowling, trying to get that run rate to slowly increase. Just talking about the 7 sixes for Andre Russell. Got 3 more 6s than 4s. Just pretty impressive indeed. And some of the shots that he played were just electric. Down the ground was the target boundary, seeing as it was a little bit shorter than square of the wicket, whereas in the last game, there was a massive difference. It's only one girl here. It's not interested, bro. Are you Ty from Heartland? I am not. Oh, I tell you what, my mum watched that show. There's a little, very, very small comparison. Very small, but I am not, no. Isn't she married, or am I thinking of Miranda Kerr? Might be Miranda Kerr you're thinking of. I know that Amelia Kerr, though, she's dating Ruben Love, I believe, the rugby player. Probably future All Black as well. Quiet run rate, almost up to 12. Australia have done well to avoid reaching 2 runs a ball needed throughout the early stages. They've got spin from both ends, taking the pace off the ball, and they have got fielders down the ground. So they're getting quite strategic with their field sets, trying to force the Australians into pretty much putting all the pace on the ball. Be Hardy sitting on 6 off 5. Dragged down again. It's in the air. The caller catch it, but no one was catching that one. Another single there for Australia. I wonder where she's at now. Don't see her in the chat, says Philip. But now it has moved up to 12 and over. Elise Perry is also another very good option, says Coding. Warner is on a flyer, says Patrick here, sitting on 57 off 31. I'm back, says Padza. And who is Amelia Kerr? She is a New Zealand cricketer. Nice running between the wickets, though. 2 runs. He's got the ones that they needed for that ball, David Warner. Just needs that every single ball for the remainder of this match, and the Australians would win. Current run rate is 9.76, but while Warner's at the crease, they've got a chance. Maxwell still to come. Inglis still to come for the Australians. Drag down. Hits it well, David Warner. And that'll be 4 runs. Rodman Powell just not quite able to get it. Australia won't win unless they start making it rain 6s. Says Reggie Rocker, though we do have to remember there were a lot of dot balls for the West Indies. Yes, they hit 14 6s. But those dot balls, if Australia can target the boundaries and get 4s, even if it's not 6s, if they can get more 4s than we saw from the West Indies, that would help them out. Why these Australian girl so good in cricket, says Philip. I would not start with J. Russ. J. Russ used the older ball better, says Patrick. 10 4s, 4 6s for the Australians at the moment. Another one that is dragged down. Nice easy single for David Warner down the ground. Boundary here for the Australians would help them. You should get some good quality mic, says BRB. We've gone through about 2 or 3 different microphones. This one so far has been the best option, mainly because of the amount of times that I kind of yell, or not so much yell, but I just raise my voice. This one's able to adjust the volume quite well automatically. And bro, I want a wife. If you can cook an egg And we need 10 more sixes, and Warner wicket is key here. And the single is taken off the last ball from Hardy. So another over from Hussain. Going for the 10 runs this time. Already 9 overs down. Been speeding by, ladies and gents. Of course, it's always about that last 5 or so overs for both of these sides in terms of who will be able to win this match. Our last match was Maxie's show. Now it's time for Warner, says Coding. Warner trying to catch up with Aaron Finch in terms of most T20 runs. Marriage is not an option for me, says BRB. And the Pakistan League will start on Saturday. Will we be here for that league, says Patrick Davey? We probably will not be. I'll be honest, the time zone of those games are at about 3 a.m. Oh, no run taken. Another dot ball for Roston Chase. Hardy's on 8 off 8. He's got to start finding the boundary soon. He's just got the one. It was down the leg side. Here is not a word. It's going to be nicely hit for another single. Is that really going to be your first comment after like 30 or 40 minutes away the house? A spelling error correction. You could end up being egg to her, says Blues No. And who scored century in the last match, says Philip? It was Glenn Maxwell, who has yet to make his way to the crease for the Australians. They actually still have 2 batsmen before they get to Maxwell. They've got Josh Inglis. Oh, switch it there from David Warner. Very smart play and gets it away to the boundary for 4 runs. They had the men on the ring, who just goes over the top of them, trying to decrease that required run rate here. David Warner. Would have been a tough one for Nicholas Puran, who almost wore it on the helmet. And 365 people watching, but only a few in the comments. How is it possible? Less people are commenting than the ones watching. Oh, work to the leg side there. Warner wants to. And I think they almost could have got there. But I don't think Hardy was too keen. It looked like he was pretty content with not running hard for that one. Wants a bit more of the strike of Roston Chase. Feels that is his better scoring option. 95 runs on the board for the Australians. I mentioned that the West Indies, they were on 110 runs, I believe it was, after their 11. I think less is more, says a BRB. To the leg side again. Straight to the man in the deep for another single. And capital letter at the start of the sentence says listen to the house. And yes, Khawaja is Pakistani born, says Coding. Now Warner, 1 ball left. He's on 69 runs at the moment here. Curious about this third umpire, who's sitting right down on the boundary rope next to one of the West Indies players. I'm not too sure what she's doing there. Dragged down. Nicely timed by Warner. They should be able to get through for the 2 by the time he gets the throw in, and it's good hustle between the wickets. He moves up to 71, and that'll close out the over. Another decent one from Roston Chase. The end going for the 9 runs after the 10 overs. Australia on 98, so they are behind in terms of the run rate that they require compared to the current run rate that they have got. Hardy needs to hit or get out, says Coding. He's in that scenario if there are many batsmen to come that can hit big sixes, whether that's Inglis, whether that's Glenn Maxwell, Tim David, Matthew Wade. All those men have the ability of hitting the ball hard. So Hardy needs to make sure he doesn't use up too many deliveries. At this point, the West Indies were 5 for 92. And David Warner reminds me of Chris Gale. Word on Jimmy Anderson, he's still playing at the age of 42. He's an absolutely incredible athlete, Jimmy Anderson, and he still doesn't look like he wants to give it up yet. I'm back. What have I missed? So, there's still just the 1 wicket down. Australia are a little bit behind in the run rate. David Warner moving up to 71 off 37 deliveries. Aaron Hardy at the non-striker's end, or currently on strike, sitting on 10 off 10. Hasn't quite been progressing as quickly. He's gone for it there. And he's got it for 4. He's managed to pierce the gap in the outfield. They're a bit frustrated. Rutherford and Russell, the two men who had the 140-ish run partnership, have been pierced between them for 4 runs from Aaron Hardy. It's hard to really get hold of the ball. It's the longest boundary around. And Warner wicket needed ASAP. As long as he performs, he can play. But I still think this is the last series for Jimmy. So here's coding. Now Hussain. How does he answer back? Drag down ball. Pulled away. Think they're looking for 2 here, and they will be able to get through. No, they get 1. That was poor running from the Australians. How many balls left? Currently 58 balls remaining. 118 runs still required here. Warner's back on strike. Fire Hundy could be on the cards. Hey Simran, I'm Sean. Says Sean there. Quiet run rate 12.21. Well, looks like Andre Russell has made a new friend. He's got the Fox Rover following him around. Switch hit. Oh, it's missed. Very close. And Warner won't get out. So here's Badzo. Seen the big gap over cover there, David Warner. So he's tried the switcher and he's just missed that one clean. Would have almost been a wide had he stayed in his conventional stance. Yeah, there is a bit of a gap there. Does he try it for a second time here, Warner? He advances down the wicket, hit it to the leg side, and it's going to land safely. Going to Rutherford, they get back for the 2 runs. I think you meant Simran, not Simeon. There, Sean. Relationships are being developed on your comment section. Be quiet, don't jinx him. Says Nissan, you didn't time that one, David Warner. Rutherford picked that one up very well. Suraj Shot is looking for a girlfriend or a wife. Yes, sorry, where are you from? As he's mentioned earlier on that he's looking for a wife from New Zealand or Australia. That's gone just over the man down the ground for Warner. He moves up to 77. It could have been his wicket, but Romario Shepherd couldn't get up high enough to cut it off. And looks good on the West Indies side. We need to get the wickets. And good to see David Warner's return, says Shannon. And not this again. Yeah, nicely done from Warner. Hassan was saying jump for it, but then he realised it was a bit too far over the head. He's moved up to 77. Worked to the leg side. Early call of 1. At the end of the over. And many 4s and 6s on this pitch. Optus Stadium, and let's go the Windies, says Marlon. I'm going to look at an interested stat right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had a total of 14 6s for the West Indies, and there was a total of 18 4s. So we're going to do some quick maths by using a calculator because I can't be bothered doing the quick maths. So 18 times 4 equals that, plus we saw 14 6s. 14 times 6 equals 156 runs for the West Indies. Remember that number because I can't remember. Hey, I'm interested, says Pads Ablaze. And Sean said, wait, it's a male lol. And then for the Australians so far, they have had 4 6s and they have had 13 4s. So that's not as many runs. But the 4s might actually add up more here for the Australians is what I'm saying. Being able to maybe increase it to the same amount of runs off boundaries as the West Indies had. Are you a female, Pads Ablaze? Guy wants a wifey. I shouldn't have to remove my DP. Should be able to go about my life without being subjected to this. What is DP? I just realised what it can mean. And it's not that. Advancing down the wicket from Warner. Doesn't get it through. He's head and shoulders ahead of Inglis. Says BRB. Direct picture? Display picture. Okay. I get it. Profile picture or avatar. Down the left side. They'll take the single again. Quicker delivery from Roston Chase. It'll just be a bye. Australians still trying to restrict it in the required run rate section. Required run rate. Slowly increasing. Hardy needs to get going or get gone. The best way of describing it, he either needs boundaries or bye-bye. Which one does he choose? He's hit it straight back to Roston Chase for a dot ball. I think you were thinking about other pitcher. Says BRB. Reverse sweep from Aaron Hardy. They'll take the single. Warner gets through safely. Thanks, Philip. There's some run. 13 is the required run rate now. Yeah, Hardy needs to go. Get going, wasting space. Or maybe not wasting space, just wasting balls at the moment in this one. And it is putting extra pressure on Warner. Oh, he hasn't played that one confidently. Thought about winding up for a big 6. We have got, Amigo has gone down. Bad news for the singles, although they still have Omi TV, I think it's called, or something like that, which is what all the Amigo content creators are now using. Can Hardy get taken out on purpose? Says Reggie Rock. That's the thing. He needs boundaries. And if he can't get them, it's going to hurt the Australians. He tried to glide that one down to third man. Worst thing would be if he runs out Warner. Hasn't got it in a gap. It's a dot ball to finish the over. Wicket, wicket, wicket. Please and continue to waste balls, Hardy. Says Phillip. Acquired run rate has now gone up to 13.2. Come on, wicket. Says it's Simran. And with that, Australia are $2.75 underdogs. So they still feel that with Warner at the crease, there's a good chance that Australia have a good chance. Who made the silly order, man? Yeah, it seems like I said, it's a risk that Australia tried, and it's a risk that isn't paying off at the moment. Hardy, don't get me wrong, he bowled well, but he's not a 3, I don't believe. I've got there wicked, with the D rather than the T from Blues Nate, but Romario Shepherd, wicket, it was auto-corrected. I thought you were being all hip, Nate. But Romario Shepherd, he's still got 3 overs that he can bowl. Roston Chase and Hussain only have 1 over left each. And they're the 2 spinners that are available at the moment for the West Indies. 108 runs needed off 48. Glided by Warner. Straight to the fielder. They tried twice to go for the single. And both times they decided against it. Why did they change the batting order for no reason? It's a great question. I feel like it was maybe a bit of, experimentation for the future World Cup. Could have been cockiness that they felt like they could chuck a few new guys in different places and still have the same result as they had for the first 2. But at the moment, they need someone firing from both ends, and they aren't doing that. Hardy, like we said, he needs to get going or get out. Because you've still got Maxwell, you've got David, you've got Inglis. Those guys can all hit 6s. You've got Wade. And you've got Xavier Bartlett. Can't underestimate what that man can do with a bat in hand. And Windies for the win. Australia is ahead, says Changing Lives broadcast. They are in terms of the overall runs per over to what the West... Oh, no, I think they've fallen behind now, actually. I think that after 11 overs, the West Indies had 110. This is game over. 1 run won't do it. Says Reggie Rott. Let's see what Hardy can do here, though. He's got 4 balls to face of Romario Shepherd. He's chopped on. That's not a bad thing. And I know that sounds bad to say, but that probably has helped Australia. Romario Shepherd, he doesn't look excited about that wicket. He would have much preferred to keep Hardy out there. Third option, he can retire. Although if he retired hurt, they'd know that he wasn't actually injured. Yeah, chopped on from Aaron Hardy, facing 16 balls and getting 16 runs. Sean, baby, where you gone? Says Pads Ablaze, and yes, and manifesting hard, says Simran. Now 16 from 16, 24 minutes at the crease for Aaron Hardy. 6 stop balls, only the 2 4s. Now who is it that makes their way out there. I believe it is Josh Inglis. Yes, it is. And he pretty much has to fire from ball number 1. It's quick between the wickets. Our wish is final. Don't give me someone that can hit. I don't know. Hardy is still a loss. I would say in a normal scenario where they're not chasing so many runs, he is a loss. But in this case, they needed someone to keep going. I'm here, says Sean. I said the West Indies will take it golden duck. Oh, brutal on Josh Inglis. He's got the mustache. Is it the mustache? 110 is Josh Inglis's best. They have got 3 men deep. Oh, 2 men up down the ground. I think Inglis is going to target the straight boundary over cover 2. Can he do it straight away? Goes down the ground, take it on the run, and just that little bit of pressure. They're going to... Oh, they didn't take on the 2. Just the fact that they were willing to hustle meant that Holder made a misfield. Inglis could have been in a lot of trouble, but he pinned the ears back quick. I don't think he would have been that bad off. Josh Inglis, I think that he almost made his ground. It's always hard to tell, though. Already the required run rate. Almost up to 15 per over. Come on, Sadler. Let's continue to manifest. We are the only ones, I guess, doing it. I'm from Tobago. Says Sean, following Warner. No run is the call. I'm rooting for the West Indies. I just got to wish as much as I can. Current run rate for the Australians is only 9. It's a shame in a way that the West Indies have realised in the third match of a 3-match series that you actually want to be chasing. You want to be setting in Australian conditions. Scoreboard pressure is a wonderful thing, and Australia are now experiencing that. Nice, says Badzer. And wicket, please, Warner. Next, says Phillip. And also Warner slowed down. Although, to be fair to Warner, he hasn't had a huge amount of the strike as of lately. It's going to be hit down the ground. Gets a single to close out the over, but a brilliant one from Romario Shepherd. 3 runs, 1 wicket. Good price in New Zealand. Or gold price, I have no idea. I don't think I own much gold. I'm looking around. There's not much gold around me. I don't think. Wicket, come on. Hope you are back in the West Indies. There's Sean. So Australia have now fallen behind. The West Indies were 6 runs ahead at this point. The Yorker came in to play well bowled, says Phillip. But now Australia require 15 runs per over. They cannot mess around. Roston Chase, this will be his last over. They've still got one of Hussein up their sleeve. I have a gold keychain, says BRB. I have it's silver. Never mind. I was going to say I have a silver thing with a mini harmonica on it. That's a shot from Warner, or is it? There's a fielder, he's out. Warner dismissed. Andre Russell takes it in the deep. Unfortunately, there was no option for Warner but to start going. Match is done for, says Reggie Rock. Warner's disappointed with it. Maxi might need a big one. Well, he's going to need a big one from ball number 1 now. Just to put it into perspective, though, Glenn Maxwell in his massive innings in the first game, right? Tell you what, we're going to do some maths. How do we do this maths? What was Glenn Maxwell's strike rate in that last game? We're going to have a quick look at second T20. Glenn Maxwell, his strike rate was, one moment, it was 218. Okay? Current required strike rate to win this game is about 250 or about 240, which means Glenn Maxwell, to win this game for his side, needs to score quicker than he was in his last game. And he scored 120 off 55 balls. That sounds tricky to do. And thanks, Ella, your presence has helped. Yes, Superb, happy. Keep them coming. I said there was no need for that experiment, says BRB. All it's done is give the West Indies a lot of confidence. His strike rate on average is 155 for Glenn Maxwell. This is going to be intriguing. These last 7 overs. How many wickets down can the Windies get? You suddenly room for the Aussie? Says Double G, just because I say what they require doesn't mean that I'm rooting for them. I think I said from the very start of this series that I was hoping it would be 1-1 going into the last game to then make it the decider. Sadly, the West Indies have decided to have this last game as their best performance. Maxwell tries to reverse sweep there and doesn't get it. Oh, thanks, Philip. I'm the opposite. What some people have called me on previous streams. No way Australia won't win this match, says AB. There's a lot of ways that they won't win this match. And currently, you know, it's starting to get up there. Maxwell and Inglis, wicket. Let's manifest them quick. I do want West Indies to win one game. Does look a lot better for the series if it's 2-1 rather than 3-0. Andre Russell and Rutherford, that partnership has changed this game. 16 needed and over. If there's any player in the world that can do it, it is Glenn Maxwell, but he is not hitting the ball at the moment. He's actually missed that one again. Roston Chase has been extremely economical. Come on, a wicket. Let's keep them falling. Game over, says Reggie Rocket. Let's go, lads. Get a wicket. It's their destiny to win this match, says BRB. It makes you wonder. Of course, now it's too late to tell. But what would have happened if the West Indies had batted first in all 3 of the games? They've won all the tosses. It's only this one that they've decided to bat second. Could they have done something different in the series? Did they just get the toss wrong? Too much pressure. Says Beds Blaze. Yeah, at the moment these two can't hit the ball. Josh Inglis getting hit with that one. Last they can hit 19 runs in 3 innings. Says Reggie Rock. Yeah, that's true. If they have a couple big overs going for 20, there's a chance. Now, down the ground, caught and bowled. Inglis is gone. And Roston Chase has had a blinder. He's bowled his 4 overs, 2 for 19. Maybe Tim David says, listen, but we've got to remember as well, every wicket, that's a double wicket over for Roston Chase and just the 1 run off it. It's okay. I'll let them think whatever because I know you're supporting us wholeheartedly. And we need the wicket and we're getting it probably a bit late now, says Patrick Davey. But the Windies on fire in this match. Great dive from Roston Chase. They did score over 200 in every match. Exactly right. So what kind of pressure could scoring 200 in a first innings have done to Australia rather than in the second? Yeah, it's done. Game over. How much run Russell made? I believe he got 70... What was it? 75? Just have a very quick look. Make sure I've got the right number. Game on. He got 71, off 29 balls. 7 sixes. Chase is underrated. Says Jane Elias broadcast. How much Rutherford made? He got 67. So they had 100 and about 40 run partnership between them. No point watching no more. Good night, guys. And firmly caught it. Says a Blues Nate and keep them coming. And it's game on. Says Expired Passport Bro. Here comes Tim David. And Romario Shepherd to continue after only going for the 3 runs off his last over. Australia already needing 17 runs per over to win this match. It's changed big time. In fact, it might be Glenn Maxwell. It is on strike now. 5 fielders back for the West Indies. They haven't actually got men right on the boundary either. And pressure breaks, even the best of the bests. Says BRB. Maxwell tries to hit it down the ground, and it is another dot ball. Maxwell coming off the 100. He's sitting on 1 off 4 balls. Strike rate of 25 at the moment here for Glenn Maxwell. Unheard of. He's got the hand on the hip. And yes, says Philip. That's about how I imagine you said it anyway, Philip. At this point, the West Indies were 13 runs ahead. 5 for 130. Get them, Reggie. Now Maxwell hits it in the air. Straight to the man in the deep for 1. Yeah, let's go. West Indies bounce, baby. Cricket ball. Says Blues Nate. Like they've said, the West Indies, they were 3 for 17 in this matchup. And now they are sitting in a very good position. I think that Australia's odds of winning this game wow, they're 3%. And 2 fresh batters, says Phillips. So yeah, it's always going to take a bit of time to find your rhythm. Just to make it clear, the Australians, if they got themselves 5 4s and over from here, they would win. If they get 4 4s and over, they would probably lose this match. They need boundaries for days and 6s. And Tim David's just blocked that one, playing it like it's a test match. And enough overs left for Maxie to get going, says Expired Passport Bro. Like I mentioned, his brilliant innings, 120 runs off 55 balls, was scored at a strike rate of 218. At the time he made his way to the middle, the Australians needed him to go at about 240 as a strike rate and face every single ball. So both batsmen needed to go at that rate, and now they need to go at the run rate, or the strike rate of 300, and that will be the boundary for David. They need that almost every ball now. We see here the required run rate. Wait for it. 18.7. Wait for it. It's about to do it. It's about to change. Once it changes, it's not going to change by much. The required run rate is still going to be about 18.5. 18.6. So boundaries don't actually do that much for them in terms of 4. 6s will help a little bit more. I'm starting to feel so sleepy. I watched till the end. There's Simran. The end could be closer than we think as well if Australia can't start finding the boundaries more. Slower ball. A ball by Romario Shepherd. Should be a nice easy 2 here. They do get it. Wickets, wickets. We're manifesting. Let's go the Windies. I need 2 to go. Or these 2 need to go. Oh, come on now, Simran. It's the best parts. Yeah, only 5 overs remaining. That can feel like a long time, though, to be fair. Now, you see why I said 6s were needed. Says Ricky Rocco. Not so much just 6s as well, like the boundaries. I was doing a bit of maths earlier on about the fact that the West Indies got 156 runs off boundaries. So, like, that's a lot. But if the Australians had still gotten more 4s, that should be a wide. Yes, it is. Just on the line. Hamish, haven't listened to your commentary since Rugby World Cup. Still sneezing? I certainly am. Yep, hay fever's still kicking me in the mush. Okay, go there, another wicket, lads. Kind of working. Says Blues, Nate. Just on it there. Now, last ball here for Romario Shepherd. David's got a strike rate of 200. He needs that to increase even more. He's had a big swing, no ding there. I know, Pets Blaze. But I have work in the morning. And it's hospo, so it sucks. But I remain vigilant to stay awake, says Simran there. Although if you have got an early morning start, you probably do want to have a bit of a snooze. And this match, you're our lucky charm. Please don't go and fight. Stay up and watch us win, says Philip. Hope you don't have an infection, says BRB. No, I'm all good. I don't think I do. Now 5 overs left to score 96 runs. Now, this is a crazy amount of runs because I just realised if they had scored 80 off the power play, that would be massive, right? They need to do that plus 16 with 1 less over, with 6 less balls. 20 and over required. Maxwell needs a couple overs where he goes for 30. Australia down and out. Here comes Alzari Joseph, though. Maxwell tries the ramp and he misses the ball again. Normal position with the hands, he says. I also have work in the morning. And what time is it in Australia? I think local time in Perth, it is currently 7:09 p.m. So, yeah, it's actually a decent time for Perth. Elsewhere in Australia, I think it's 10:09 p.m. That's a big yawn. Now Maxey on strike. Oh, he's missed again. He can't hit anything. At the moment, he's trying to jinx the West Indies by sending me to snooze the Amish because I'm apparently a lucky charm. Or you're thinking some reverse psychology's coming into it. I mean, if I wanted to jinx them, just get this little West Indies keychain and drop it. That seemed to work in the last matches. I live in New Zealand, so it's 0:10 a.m. Warner and Maxwell still carrying this whole team on their back. And 96 and 30, impossible. Now 28, and they still need 96. From Guyana, living in Brooklyn, enjoying it, says proper music. Alzarri Joseph bowling well, another dot ball. And it's interesting here. Oh, Maxwell might have tweaked his back a little bit here, but this is just showing Australia are human. And when they are under pressure, just like any side are, when they bat second, they can make mistakes and not quite be as effective as they want to be. As I told you before, I'm very good astrologer. West Indies winning. You do not just do that, says 7 run. And proper music, big guy Anesia also, says Double G. Now Joseph, another dot ball. This is, I believe it should be 4 in a row now. Maxwell's on 2 off 9 deliveries. That doesn't happen for Glenn Maxwell, but he just can't actually hit the ball. Take it back, pick it up. There's some run. Fun fact, it's on my finger at the moment. It is flying around. I caught this part, the ring, on something which stopped it from hitting the ground. Oh yeah, that's a rough shot from Maxwell. Would have been gone. They managed to get the single in the end. And also West Indies will win, says Changing Lives broadcast. Yeah, that wasn't... I'll be right back. Oh, sorry, BRB. Born and raised in New Zealand. All they needed was the hit and Maxwell would have been gone. Afghanistan cursed Maxwell, says BRB. See the disappointment from Roston Chase. We're going through the overs fast because of dot balls. That is true. Going a lot quicker than normal. Now Tim David on strike. Single down the ground for Tim David, who looks like he's batting for his average. And let's hope, says Sabir. Very tight over so far from Alzarri Joseph, and it has come to a close. Only the 2 balls, the 2 runs of it. Okay, good, because we don't need your commentator jinx. Thank you. I caught it in this hand. Just missing that one there. This does not look great for the Aussies. They're going to lose this one by what could be 70 runs if they don't start scoring a little bit faster. And it makes me think once again, I know that it sounds bad to bring it up now, but what could have happened in this series if the Windies, with their successful winning of the toss in each game, had batted first rather than second? Jason Holder, I really made my heart go through. I just didn't stop playing with it, says Simran. West Indies a 1 toss on the 2 good batting pitches after the bowl first in the previous games. Yeah. Oh, that's an edge. It's gone over the top. David will get it away to the boundary. With the Brooklyn beats, we take it to the streets on the corner, eating pizza and peace to all my homies because it's all goods. That's a very gangster few bars, no? Our wickets coming soon because this is the pressure on them. No, I don't think. They'll chasing miracles don't happen every day. And come on, jinx the West Indies, says Nissan. Yeah, 4 runs coming for Tim David. They need a boundary every single ball from here on out to win this match across the last 4 overs of the match. Need a wicket, lad, says Blues. No, it's pitched up. Not timed by Tim David. They all managed to get through for the 2 runs. Comfortable. Or Maxwell almost taking that one a little bit casually for the second. Need a wicket, lads. After winning the series, Australia never played class cricket. You can check the history. CSAB, at the moment, Australia have a 1% chance of winning this match, ladies and gentlemen. And a wicket will come in the next 3 balls. CS pads ablaze. Probably. I mean, if they can't score boundaries, at what point do these two just go, this is unfortunate, I guess we'll just keep on batting? Like Tim David, he hasn't shown too much aggression throughout his shots. Aussie just looked behind from the get-go. Marsh couldn't score quickly. Hardy couldn't score quickly. The 2 men that actually got promoted up the order, Inglis was disappointing because he's better as an opener. Australia should have known that, but they didn't because they wanted to try it out. Domino's or Pizza Hut or Papa John's? I would go Pizza Hut. And now I want Pizza Hut, so that's slightly unfortunate. 7 runs off this over of Jason Holder. When Maxwell was ready, but Holder actually runs through. Doesn't bowl the ball. Maxie needs to go big now, 4-4-4. See that Spire Passport, bro. In fact, he needs to get a few sixes in there as well. And come on, lad, says Blues Nate. So I think at this stage, a lot of people, including myself, are accepting that Australia cannot win this game. Okay? So the question now stands, ladies and gentlemen, how many runs will the Australians get? Maxwell, he gets it to the boundary. Okay, Maxwell's trying to prove me wrong here, but there's still a long way to go. So, what is the bowled out number for the Aussies? I'm saying 175 is what I'm going with. Good Papa John's pizza tastes like cardboard. Says BRB, 180, says Kevin. If you're still there, Simran, let's manifest more wickets and dot ball. So here am manifesting. Holder, this has been one of the more expensive overs. He probably came back in to the bowling attack thinking it was going to be all nice and cozy. No big runs coming. That's a wide from Holder. That helps the Australians just a little bit. So 2 balls remaining. Yeah. Says Sabir. Right, so they've got a third man and a fine leg. No one deep. That might entice Maxwell into ramping. Nah, he's just tried to swing through. He's frustrated. It's just going to be a single here again. And they already lost when they decided to change the batting order. Says BRB, now I can sleep tonight. I think not sure yet. Says Bubba, let go, and they won't reach 170, 200. 169 says AB as well. And Double G, I got all the time. And wicka, 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 let's keep them coming. And I mean, that would be a massive achievement for the West Indies. If from here they can bowl Australia out, they've only got 19 balls to do so. And I think just restricting their runs will be more than enough to make the West Indies very happy. Pitched a little bit too full. Tim David hits it for 6 down the ground. And Holder's been punished in that over. I believe that will be a total of 19 from the Jason Holder over. And fun fact, that is still not enough to win this game. They need 25 from each of these overs remaining to get themselves the victory. They've only got the 3 overs though, so some big hitting from Maxwell. We're talking 3 sixes. An over would actually get them a long way towards it. Blessings proper music, Guyanese are everywhere. Says a Double G. Maxwell sitting on an 8 off 12. I think Tim David is overweight. Well, I think you're an idiot. I'm looking at him. There's probably, 10% body fat on him, if that. 93 meters. Like, the man's stomach, you could probably fit 2 hands around it. Like, he is in no shape or form overweight. Just because he's a little bit slower with running, like, doesn't necessarily translate into weight. Slow ball. Maxwell works it through the field. That'll be another 4 runs. And Russell going for a slide down the boundary. Noel says Nissan GTR. And Lowell says a Double G. Maxwell still trying to keep this game. Do you have anything special planned for it? I don't think I'll be able to pronounce that well. So I will try not to pronounce it. 71 off 17. That's a wide down the leg side. Noah's called by Glenn Maxwell. This game's over, isn't it? Every time that happens, I just get a little bit worried. He is definitely not overweight, BRB. But yeah, big wide. Being bowled by Romario Shepherd, of course, getting hit to the boundary does get you in a little bit of a rattled mindset. Shiva said no. Outside off, that's another wide from Romario Shepherd. This is slowly decreasing. First time someone actually called me an idiot. Says BRB. Well, I apologise for that. But at the end of the day, like I said, he's probably, if anything, if you looked at him on the BMI scale, it'd probably say he's either a healthy weight or underweight, per se. Ball on sleep, can game hurry up. Says beds ablaze. No more boundary, more dot instead of wickets. Come on, let's do it. Bowled him. Slower ball from Romario Shepherd. Does get the end of Glenn Maxwell, who's really disappointing with his innings. It's crazy how you can go from one game scoring 120 off 55, and then the next game you end up in the scenario of only scoring 12 off 14. And no more boundaries, more dots instead of wickets. Come on, let's do it. And there it is. Badzer blaze the wicket. If I'm here, Badzer, you got to be 2. And Nam says Diddy is bad. And Maxwell, he's frustrated. You can see it on his face. Matthew Wade now makes his way to the middle. And he's in a scenario of, I don't even know what he has to do. He has to go out there and pretty much hit a 6 from ball number 1. And goes to show West Indies the better T20 team planning. I did not go precise. So he's given, I mean, they're the better team in this game, but those other 2 matches, they made the error. They should have batted first, and it could have been a whole different series. Game on, bro. Says changing lives broadcast. I still hit that like button, getting it higher. Says beds ablaze. Yeah, it's a disappointing way to go because Maxwell, he wasn't clean bowled. He did hit it into his leg, and then that went on and hit the off stump and just knocked the bails off. But it was a brilliantly placed slower ball from Romario Shepherd. Don't worry, I'm staying till the end with you. Well said, says Kevin. And let's go. We're manifesting a crumble. And there as well, says Philip. But Matthew Wade, his strike rate is 135. JJ told me to say that. Says BRB. Now 69 runs off 16. No more wide balls. Says Philip. And Wade turning it off his pad for 1. In fact, he will get 2. See, this is actually an innings. I think that Matthew Wade, even if they don't win this game, Matthew Wade needs to go on and do a massive innings here off the 10 or so balls that he faces. He needs, I would say, 30 plus runs because he's the one at the moment in this Aussie side that has their position probably the most in question. Whether or not they need Inglis as well as Matthew Wade. I'd still pick Inglis as a top order batsman, but I don't think I would have Wade in there if you can have Inglis with the gloves on. Yes, Team Spirit Padza. And from here, 0 to 0 for Maxwell, says Kevin. Australia got exposed today, says Double G. Yeah, they just showed that, unfortunately, like all sides, when scoreboard pressure comes into a game, that is when a lot of teams do struggle. Even though you have to go, Sadler, thanks for staying supporting us, says Philip. Now 14 balls remaining. Prediction for myself was 175 on the scoreboard for the Australians. A lot of people were saying around the 180 mark. Wade's it on 2 off 2. You can see the disappointment on Australia's side's face. Warner in the back. Stoinis as well. Just tell this didn't go the way that they wanted it to. West Indies actually got closer to the totals than Australia got to their totals. Says Double G. It's okay, Philip. I'm here rooting for the West Indies. That's it for me. Today I've got to have some sleep. Says BRB. So thanks for tuning in. We will see, I'm sure, at some stage. Wade putting their head in the air, swinging towards the leg side. And no connection whatsoever. 180 plus. And that stadium is massive, says Beer. Yeah, it's an 80-metre boundary square of the wicket. Down the wicket is a lot shorter. And not too many sides or not too many players have actually tried to target that for Australia. They've all been trying to go for those big swats towards the side. At the moment for Matthew Wade over the top of mid-off. Probably his best shot, but he does like to play leg side. Has cut that one through a gap. Be at least the 2 runs in previous games. Says Double G. Matthew Wade gets back for the 2. Romario Shepherd finishes his 4-over spell. 2 wickets, 31 runs off the 4 overs. Very good bowling from Romario Shepherd alongside Roston Chase, who probably is worth a shout for man of the match at the moment, although they'll probably instead give it to Andre Russell. Definitely if he can get one more wicket here in one of the last 2 overs. I just showing that the Wacker in Perth will be hosting Australia versus South Africa. That is on Thursday at 1:30 p.m. It's going to be just around the corner starting on Thursday. Does the stadium ever get full? It doesn't really, no. Not particularly. I know that they were talking about it earlier on about how the stands, they were pretty disappointed with the amount of people that were in attendance for this game. I hope you get some rest and enough to last you out on your shift at work, and also a stress-free one as well. Nice shot there from Tim David. Straight out to the fielder in the deep, Rutherford. And it will just be the single again. 17,000 they've just said in attendance for this match. They pretty much, from here, they need a 6 every ball, ladies and gentlemen, to win this game. Well done, Shepherd, says Philip. Azadi Joseph, he has gone for 8 runs per over. Now looking to close out his bowling figures. A decent finish, isn't it? There's a big yawn. Currently 12:30 a.m. here in New Zealand. I know that you guys in the West Indies or in the Caribbean and America are a lot worse off with the time zone though, so it is greatly appreciated. You all being here for this one. Nice quick run taken by Matthew Wade. And they didn't have to throw it. And they won't actually get the overthrow though. It looked like the Australians were going to go for it. Azadi Joseph just saying, calm down. We don't need to be throwing at the stumps for those ones. Oh, yeah, get there. Yep, I felt that yawn, Hemi. Says Beds Blazer. Well, thank you, Philip. I'm a little excited because tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So work will be fun. Says someone, no need to bowl wide ball from here on, manifesting wickets and dots too close in style. Says Philip. And it's 6:30 a.m. here. And see, hey, that's a big shot from Tim David. Another 6 runs. They need those every single over that. You made me yawn. Do apologise for that. That 6 from Tim David certainly did not make anyone in the crowd yawn, though. Massive shot. Probably 100 metres down the ground there from Tim David. Just had to be that little bit more support around him. 27 off 11. Right out of the middle of the bat for Tim David. 6 is a series. West Indies have had an extra 11. It's a short ball, well placed. Oh, is that a wide or is it a dot ball? Crowd were booing, so I'm not sure which way around it ended up being. That was a 91 metre 6 from Tim David. A good played series, 2-1. A better result than a whitewash. That is very true. Russell only 35. I thought he was in his 40s. And our host is Sloppy 2. Sloppy syndrome. And season, I'm feeling so sleepy. Betsy, how you go? Well done, the Windies. Too little too late, though. Mario shepherding the flock today. That is big from Tim David. Another 6 runs for him just over the head of Mario Shepherd. He is just ruining Alzadi Joseph's figures at the moment, to be honest. But just showing that power that Tim David has. They haven't used him as a bowling option in the T20s, but I'll be honest, if they get rid of Matthew Wade, they can still keep Tim David, but I don't think they can use both of them. I think it means sleepy there. And Harris Rowe, I don't believe it. West Indies scored 220 after 60 for 5 at one stage, and I'm just saying why West Indies didn't score at bat first. I think they listened to my comments, your thought. Says Michelle, yeah, it makes you wonder what could have happened had they batted first in the other games. 17th of Feb is my anniversary, says AB, but that'll be the end of the over. Australia need 50 runs from the final over to win it. And Andre Russell, I believe, will be the man who is bowling it. No, it's Jason Holder. In fact, my apologies. Who's the other bowler then? Who got a couple overs in? Hussain got 3. Russell got 1. So that is where the little bit of a difference is. And normally we don't see Roston Chase as one of the bowlers in the last couple games. So that is where the extra 4 overs have come from. No 100 runs for David Warner today. Wasn't the ball's fault. Says Blues Nate. And Drew says Kevin. Holder, he's already gone for 38. It's been a little bit expensive, but 50 runs needed. I got a Singapore Safari, I think that is, for that day. To my beloved, darling wife, Anita. There's AB. Short ball. Ooh, that's hit him in the spine. They'll take the single anyway. So Wade's sitting on 5 off 5. This is his over. If he doesn't get 3 sixes in this over, if he faces the rest of the deliveries, I know it sounds harsh, but he's out of the team. Not Safari. Oh, Sari. Is that a... Sorry, I thought it was an auto-correction. And Tim David wicket before this match done. Come on. Who else manifesting it? And Rutherford and Russell lifted it to win this match. Traditional clothing for a woman. And also for the internet fun and the great stream says pads ablaze. Give Russell the last over, says Philip. Yeah, it's surprising that they didn't. I guess they wanted to give Jason Holder the final over of this one. 172 on the board at the moment. Matthew Wade hits it to the leg side. Hasn't got hold of it, so they'll just get the single. Lost the series, but won a game. No white ball, although white wash, mate. Well done, mate. Says Caudle. He didn't need it, Blues Nate. Says a Simran. And also, Rutherford is a cracking batting. I like his hard hitting. I saw him at first time in CPL, says a Vishal. Competition that we are very keen on covering next year. At the leg side from Tim David. Times it quite well, but there is cover back there from the big man Johnson Charles. Now, my prediction was 175 for the Australians, and I am currently not a mile off, 174. But the chances of only 1 run being scored off these last 3 balls, I think, is extremely slim. So I think 180, 185 is more likely to be the case here. But Australia, they've just misjudged this whole innings. They've gone with a team that they made plenty of changes to, thinking it was going to be a breeze. And all that happened is they've ended up with a late mistake. Or an early mistake in their innings as well. And thank you for staying until now. On this match done, I pray the little time you have to sleep is sweet, or the sweetest since we have won this one. Says Philip. And maroon colour says AB. And South Africa doing much better in the test. Says Sabir. Yeah, it's impressed me what they've been able to do after losing those early wickets. Like, currently a very good partnership, and hopefully they build towards that 300 plus mark tomorrow and don't throw away that progress with a couple early wickets. Another short ball from Holder. I made some money on the tennis today. I wish I put my winnings on the Windies, says Defunk. Okay, that's been called as a wide for Jason Holder. He's disappointed and come on, says Pads Ablaze. Maroon is our special colour, says AB. Right, how high over Tim David's head? It's not a huge amount over, is it? Oh, yes, going to sleep on a high for the Windies winning this one, not from drugs. Don't do drugs, guys, says Imran. That is some very good advice. Yeah, I'd be disappointed with that if I was Jason Holder. Rally around the West Indies, says Double G. Hit down the ground from Tim David. Another 6 runs from him. And finally, West Indies some smiles on their face after a historic win at the Gabba, says Vishal. But Tim David, he's up to 41 off 17 balls. Just needed a little bit of support around him. Last ball from Holder to bring up his half century. David can't do it unless Holder bowls him a no ball here. It is a no ball. Well, okay, I was kind of joking about the no ball scenario, but overstepping there for Jason Holder, which means if Tim David hits a boundary here, he still has a chance of bringing up his own half century. As you can call the Windies, because they win. Now Jason Holder, free hit down the ground from Tim David just for the one, so he'll finish up on 42 off 18. No, it's a dot. What? Why is it a dot? Tim David, what's the bloody... Okay, so what's happened here is he said that he thought that it was going all the way to the boundary. So that's why he didn't run. Just face the last ball. It's another dot. That'll close it out. But that was a really weird way to finish with Tim David. He decided he wanted to go into business for himself and didn't quite get the job done from doing so. But nonetheless, do thank you all very much for tuning in for these live streams. This is the last moment of this West Indies Australia series, I've just realised. And then we've probably got, well, we've still got other cricket that will be taking place, but it's a little while till we get to see the Windies in action again. But when they are in action, we will be here. And we will be covering around out of cricket balls and West Indies Windies. Says the funk. And also, kudos to you. I love the way you talk about your wife and not afraid to also say her name. Keep in love your wife and enjoy your marriage. Also, maroon is a very nice colour. And good night. Says Bubba there. Yeah, I do appreciate every single one of you for being here. The West Indies winning this game by 37 runs. Their first of the T20 series. So that does make the score 2-1. And been a good series. Thanks for covering it. Says the funk. Yeah, thank you all very much for being here on these live streams. Thanks for the coverage. Says Marland. I believe we've got a little bit of New Zealand, South Africa that will be coming up in the near future for that test series. And also we got the rugby in the weekends that we will be covering. And a little bit of everything else scattered in there. But the next time the West Indies are playing, ladies and gents, we will be live on the channel and doing those matches as well. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy the final time of this series, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave a like on the live stream. Also, if you like a bit of cricket, be sure to check out that pinned comment link that I have got there. It is for an innings where I was bowling. And yeah, it's just a GoPro cricket series that we're hoping to keep on pumping out on the channel. So be sure to check out that one as well. I actually managed 3 wickets in that game, which is way more than I would normally get. Thanks, sir, for this lovely series. And you're of Australia. And big up yourself, says Leroy. And also thank you all for liking. And thank you, Kiwi lads. Says the Blues, Nate. And there, and Amish Bro, this series surprised me. First, second game, really close. Playing 7 runs and 25 runs. West Indies playing hard both games. They didn't cross the winning line. And yeah, in every game of the series, they crossed 200 on the board. Bruh. Says Pads Ablaze. Have a good time, everyone. Till the next one. Says Saram. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I will see you all for the next one.